No, dude, you know what? I'll say this much. You're an inspiration for anyone that's like, my life is crap. I'm like, go look at Hungar, and Hungar is as awesome as they can get.
Yeah, really.
So I got to ask you, Brian, are you going to print out a Hungar the Starvarian mini?
I am not, because I do not have a resin printer, and
Whoa.
my friend with the resin printer moved to Colorado, and so getting things printed is not as easy.
There's places you
but
can...
I do want to.
So Hungar, I'm going to have to ask Brian from Weird World War II Gaming, because he lives 5 miles away from me, to print me out a couple. But we're going to have to ask Nerd's Nerd for some busty Ukrainian nurses matching with Sonia's description to surround you. So
I was going to say
that you're protected properly.
I agree with you, Omanal. I think we do need the like little statue version, or diorama. Diorama, that's the word I want. Or it's like Hungar on like a pile of something, and then just like the ladies,
Well, you know what? You know what, though? It's just to make it right. I think that we should include it in a Zulu background where they had the fight at the hospital as Hungar is, fighting off the Zulus.
Shadow says that he's having Brian print him off some too.
Oh, okay. That'd be cool. I'll have to pay Brian. Or I can maybe I can bribe Brian with food because he starves a lot. So
you can let him know that a nerd scored his ass on Tanks yesterday during the show.
Oh, I think he's like, oh, okay. But yeah, I think
back. Shut the fuck up.
Hey, I heard you were talking about Gaddafi, so I said, you know what? I need to drop in and say I would have a beer with him if he was still alive.
Why?
I fear to be weirdly inadequate amongst the group here. So.
That's not the only way you're inadequate on an
hair or general character.
There is no way you can feel inadequate when compared to me. Just saying.
Oh my god. Okay, listen. All right, everybody, shut the fuck up for a second, because I'm about to pontificate and talk. And if I have to put myself on main screen and mute you fuckers, I will. So behave.
You will not.
I will. Try me. I don't bluff. Number one, each and every one of you is someone I appreciate. Therefore, you are a person of quality. You may have your picadillos and your things and your little broken bits and what have you, and that makes you some of the most interesting fucking people in the world, because I've worked in the real world with the real people, and they are the most boring, robotic, bland pieces of beige shit you will ever see. I like people, and you are all good people. Yeah, we've all got our faults. Yeah, we've all got weird shit. But for the love of fucking Christ, can we please make this a stop putting myself down zone? Because it breaks my heart every time I hear one of you talk shit about yourselves, unless it's Hungar, because he's awesome, and it's never going to be Omanal, because the man doesn't understand that he has faults, clearly, and we just have to accept that he thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, okay? And Max Boivin, come on, man. We all wish we were Mr. Max. Let's just be honest.
Can I put something in there? I wasn't putting myself down. I was putting Omanal down.
No. Everyone. Open fucking season on Omanal. Have fun.
I can't necessarily promise that, Bear, but if it makes you feel better, I feel better being here.
Aww.
And your wife is awesome.
Kim's the best. I keep saying we should have Kim on here instead of Brian, to be honest. I think Kim would be more fun.
Remember, Mrs. ADHD, if you're in danger, bang the pans 3 times.
Bang the pans not around. And then light a candle in the North Tower.
Just a complete tunnel ship. No one here is allowed to put themselves down. And then Bear immediately torpedoes the hell out of people.
Oh, yeah. I'm allowed to put people down. What the fuck are you talking about? It's my show, bitch.
So, Brian from Weird World War II says that he's definitely printing out a dozen.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing that comes down to it. No matter what you say, you can't kick my ass more than me going out to the field and trying to dig holes. After that, I'm just like, I don't care.
Is that code for something? Is that
No.
what
I'm
is
good.
that? Going out to a field and digging holes. What the fuck? Is that where you're hiding the bodies? What the
Yeah,
fuck?
I think that's a threat, right?
No, I
Seriously.
gotta plant 4 cherry trees, and I'm gonna do it by hand. So that's gonna be.
Cherry trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomatoes are better for decomposing bodies. Just telling you
Oh,
that.
actually, yeah, well,
Cannot
you know
tell a
what?
lie. I chopped down the cherry tree.
Man, like,
Hi, nerd.
Oh, nerd. Hey, so glad you're here. Listen, I want you on sometime as a guest on the Four Color Cafe. But if you want to join us here, I'll throw the link in the chat. Listen, guys, I know I run my show a little bit differently than Hungar and than everybody else. Please keep that in mind if you do come onto the chat, guys. It's not the same chaos festival that you're used to. But Nerd, you're more than welcome to join us. You have an amazing voice, lady. Like, it's really good. I watched your miniature video. I want you on one of my shows because I think people need to hear that voice more. And that's that. Now, people need to hear that voice less. Just telling you that.
She's on my show, man.
By the
Did you
way,
give it
I
the
heard
link?
Brian say that he was keeping you in his prayers. Or no, Curtis say that, and I think that's really cute. I've been keeping you in my prayers, but Satan apparently is not listening. So I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Well, I just know that God has been testing me, and He doesn't realize that I'm a damn ass C student at best.
I've just been thinking of Hungar like Constantine, but less attractive, but with better sense of humor.
Constantine. Okay, I now want to see Constantine remade starring Hungar.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
Just superimpose my head over every part.
And just
And
take sound bites from your fucking YouTube and just put them in. Like that would be, if I had the skill, I'd do it.
Oh, that would be so awesome. I just saw that. What was it? Procreate's coming out with their little thing where you can do the video editing, and that's
Hop on in, nerds.
Sorry, I'm putting up Max on top because I'm going to forget about him at the bottom if I leave him down there. And nothing personal, but he's a fellow countryman, and I love him for that. So you just have to eat that shit.
No, wait a minute. He's in Canada? Oh my God, my respect for him has gone down so much.
That's okay. We had none for you to begin with, so it can't get any lower.
It doesn't matter where I'm at.
I can only
because
go
I'm
up
still
from
gonna
here.
be the star.
I'm at absolute 0. Let's go.
So Mr. Max, how many trees are you cutting down today?
probably none actually. Like it's well, it's not too bad outside, but like I'm pretty much done. I'm leaving this place soon, so I'm pretty much done with cutting the trees now. I cut all the tree I wanted to cut. I won't take them with me, so
Oh, so where are you going?
Eastern of Quebec, east of Quebec.
Okay.
Yeah,
Going
like
actually to
9
where
hours.
I grew up, of all fucking things, which is just hilarious that I can't get back there because there's nothing for rent, and this asshole managed to pull it off. Like,
Yeah. Well,
never doubt the French Canadians take care of each other in this country. Just saying, Just
that was the first question they asked me. Are you French? I said, yeah.
Are you French?
I said,
No,
"All right."
no, I'm not. I'm Hanglish.
I was expecting to say I'm Cajun.
I'm Cajun.
Oh,
Here's something I wanted to say. This pisses me off to no end. What is it with Americans and your inability to say Acadian? It's Sargon of Akkad, not Sargon of Acadia or Acade, but you call them the Acadians. And every time you say that, I'm like, no, they're from New Brunswick. What are you talking about? They weren't in the Middle East. What's going on? What is that? What is that weirdness?
I don't know what you're talking about, Acadian.
So if you watch any of the Scorpion films, they're the Acadians. You watch any YouTuber talking about the Middle East and the fucking Bronze Age collapse, they're the Acadians. And I'm like, they're the Akkadians. It's Akkad. The city is called Akkad, therefore they're the Akkadians. But like every American thing, and only Americans, Brits don't seem to do it unless John's about to contradict me like he always does. The Americans always, when referring to Akkad, refer to them as Acadians, and it's weird to my ear because Acadians are from New Brunswick.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean,
I get this one.
You want to do this, Santa?
We can ask
I'm gonna treat
Brian
you like
about
the fucking White House and burn you to the ground, bitch.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh,
So
you
we can-
betcha.
we-
That's actually
you betcha.
a really interesting linguistic thing because some of those countries, when they wrote words down, didn't actually write down the vowel sounds as part of the words.
well,
Because you don't have to write that
Language
down.
I'm going to say this much is when you go to those parts of the country, you're like, what the hell? Like, I was there and everyone's like, oh, this is people of color. And I'm like, you understand, I was in Iraq and a lot of them were whiter than you are for the people screaming about this. And it's like, I'm like, no.
Hang on, two things just happened. One, Omanal took control of the conversation and pushed it to a weird place. And John agreed with me.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, holy shit.
Wait a minute,
Buy
is
lotto
Nerd coming?
tickets. Everyone buy lotto tickets now. John agreed with me. It's fucking the upside down.
The Brits make me laugh because they drink the same brand of tea for 45 years, and then one morning they wake up and they grab the same old brand of tea and they'd be like, "Good stuff, isn't it?"
Let's be honest. Until
Who puts
until
milk
we had
in
the
tea, you
internet-
weirdos?
Until we had the internet, all we thought of Canadians were Strange Brew and Ren and Stimpy. I mean, that was our exposure to Canadian culture.
You know, like the creator of Ren and Stimpy is from the same town as me, in north of Quebec.
Yeah, but Strange
didn't
Brew
even know
was
that.
the greatest.
I didn't even know that. I just
John Kekfalusi. He's also like a bit of a creep. So
Well, one thing that I actually found out this year and didn't know, even though I watched the show incessantly in the 90s, that old X-Men animated series they made in the 90s, most of the voice actors in that were Canadians.
The deuce, you say?
dude, tons of actors are Canadian.
We
Oh yeah,
run-
I mean, the X-Files was
the
filmed
Warner
in
Brothers were Canadian.
Michael J. Fox.
That explains a lot, yes.
But I mean, you had the X-Files. I mean, they had all the. Well, Barry, you said that you worked in that industry, so you
Yeah.
knew all the places going up there, and you know,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah. I actually I auditioned for the X-Files back in the 90s and I got cast, and then they cast the guy that was the episode where they have the flashback to the submarine at the start, and one of the sailors freaks out, and that's the part I got, was this freak out sailor. And then they cast the captain that takes him down in the fight, and the guy was a full foot shorter than me, so they were kind of like, well, I guess we're not doing that. But then they brought me in for Millennium instead, so I got to be in Millennium, and I got to meet Lance Henriksen, which was
Shadwell, they've already apologized enough for Brian Adams.
Okay, listen, Linda. Listen, Linda. Okay, we gave you Celine Dion, you didn't get the joke. We gave you Brian Adams, you didn't get the joke. We gave you Nickelback, you didn't get the joke. We gave you fucking Justin Bieber, you didn't get the joke. We gave you Avril Lavigne, you didn't get the joke. We didn't give you Rush. See the difference?
Good, you can keep it.
Hey,
I thought Justin
Well,
Bieber
it's
was
a shame
exiled.
Brian can't stick around for the rest of the chat, but
wait a minute. Didn't we get Tom McDonald out of this too?
who?
Tom
Tom
McDonald.
McDonald.
He's
Yeah.
Canadian.
Who the fuck
Yes.
is Tom McDonald?
He's a conservative. I'm going to say
Yeah.
conservative.
He's
but
like a MAGA
more right-wing
rapper.
rapper. Yeah, MAGA
With
rapper.
face
Yeah.
tattoo and shit. It's a fucking shit show.
Well,
Yeah.
we gave you that,
Yes.
we gave you that prove me wrong guy. What's his fucking name? He's from Montreal too. Fuck. The guy who's always got those prove me wrongs. He goes to the
Oh,
camp.
yeah. Change my mind. That's what you mean.
Yeah,
Are you
change my
talking
mind.
about
What-
Stephen Crowder?
Well, no, Crowder is
Crowder.
We gave you Crowder, and you guys made him into something. You fucking
Yeah.
morons.
No, Crowder's technically American. He was born
Now.
in Detroit. No, born in Detroit, then moved to Quebec.
He likes to tell
And then
everybody
came
he's
back.
Canadian a lot.
Well, he was raised in Canada.
I don't care what you say. I like Nickelback
Great. We're gonna lose Hungar from the stream now.
and
Actually,
Brian Adams.
If I have to hear the lyrics, look at this photograph on the radio one more time. I might just
Hold on.
How do you look at a
out of my
photograph on the
car.
radio? What the
I,
fuck?
I always
No,
say,
those are the lyrics.
I'm gonna list the biggest American coup against Canada. Shatner. We took Shatner.
Oh, no, we gave you Shad.
we took Ryan Reynolds.
So here's a fun trivia bit about Shatner's acting style. The thing he does, where he always sort of then he speeds up. That was, if you ever go get a chance to watch the video of, and it exists out there, of Sir Laurence Olivier playing Hamlet. That's the cadence he uses while playing Hamlet. So Shatner saw that at the Stratford Festival in Stratford, Ontario, the Shakespeare Festival, and thought in his head, this is what acting is, failing to remember Olivier was playing someone who was crazy. So that's why Shatner sounds like that. And it's really disturbing.
Are you trying to tell me Shatner's not crazy? He did a film in Esperanto.
That's a fair
Right.
point.
Hey,
That is a fair fucking point.
Galaxy Quest is still the best Star Trek movie.
Hey, wait. This is awesome. This is awesome. Are Canadians still subjects or are you citizens now? Citizens of what? The UK? No.
We're subject.
No. We're not subjects of England. We're part of the Commonwealth. We're not even subjects.
Well, it was still like the King of England is still the King of Canada.
But we are part of the Commonwealth. We're not part of the monarchy. We're not part of the kingdom.
Oh, but you are subjective, right?
No, we are not. We are Dominion.
Hey, we lost our king when Elvis died, okay? You know?
I don't even know what to say to that.
That was fucking hilarious.
It was good, but it came out of Omenal's mouth, which is like my brain's like, what?
He's got cognitive dissonance that had to come out of like Brian's mouth, not mine.
Yeah, like that should have been a fucking Hungar joke. What the fuck? You know?
Never give up, never surrender.
Shatner inadvertently gave us Michael Myers. Which one? I saw someone posted one of the Colin Coco B, who's on here. Colin, he's photos on Facebook. He went as Mike Myers for Halloween, but it was Mike Myers as Mike Myers. It was really funny. It was like, oh,
Nice.
fuck, that's good.
Yeah. Dan Aykroyd also we kind of lost. Well, Dan Aykroyd also kind of lost to the American.
Yeah, but he still lives in Kingston. He still lives up in Canada.
Dan Aykroyd is the best.
You live in Kingston?
Yeah, he's from Kingston. He has a house still in Kingston, and his Skull
television.
vodka uses water from Newfoundland and Labrador.
But I thought he was from Newfoundland actually.
No, he's from Ontario. He's from Ontario, Sportsman's Paradise. You know, like that's why he's so good at doing those characters because he's.
I kept on asking though because he was
a few hours from me.
They were talking about his vodka. He was doing a promo on his vodka. I watched it on YouTube. And he kept on saying, make a great Caesar. And I'm like, why the fuck you want to make a salad out of a vodka? You have to actually know what a Caesar was, and it's a freaking Bloody Mary.
This is, no, it's not.
No,
Bloody Mary has tomato juice. Caesar has this god-awful affront to man and God himself called Clamato juice.
Oh, we have Clamato juice down here.
It is disgusting. And yet we put it in alcohol. Like, it's a fucking Caesar. It's so bad.
I heard that the actual purpose of Clamato juice is to make soup out of it.
Like a
it would make more sense
clam chowder.
Yeah, kind of like clam chowder sort of thing.
Actually, you could probably make a really good chowder using Clamato as a base.
Canadian vodka, is that just maple syrup?
Stop with your stuff. That's all we do is eat poutine and drink maple syrup and say A all the time, and we wear toques.
The one time that I ever saw Mage's drink, he was drinking maple whiskey.
I don't even like the way Clamato sounds.
Maple whiskey is so like you can get like a little shot there. Sortilège, but man, it's so fucking sweet. You know,
your blood sugar just even if you're not diabetic, you're gonna be fucking having hyperglycemia.
You take a sip and that's enough for your whole life.
It's nasty, man. Sortilège is so fucking nasty.
That's the thing we give like if you go and visit to see some French people, you bring them a bottle of Sortilège and ice wine, and that's it. You know, you don't drink it.
So there's two beers you can get, two craft beers you can get in Quebec that have the best names ever given to a beer ever. One is called Maudit, which means goddamn. That's the name of the beer. Maudit, goddamn. And the other one's called Fin du Monde, end of the world.
There's one also that's called like the Shawinigan Men's
Shake.
Shake.
Lady in the house.
Good morning.
Now, put on some fucking pants.
Good morning.
Hello, nerd.
Hey, I beat you to it.
There you go.
No one wants to see your chicken legs.
Welcome, nerds.
No one wants to see that, Omenal. See, this is what happens when
already
in
falling
here. It just all goes to fucking hell.
I bring the chaos.
You do.
Nice to meet you, nerds, nerd.
There's the balance of Brian back again for us. Yeah.
Likewise.
Hey, nerds, we've been showing off that mini you did for me.
Hey, you know what? This feels like Hollywood Squares now.
Wow, that makes Logan Charles Nelson Riley.
He always switched me with Marv.
Yeah, we need to have like
Hang on.
those X and
Let's put the goofball in the center and make it done. There we go.
Oh man, I wanted to be Phyllis Diller.
Shut the fuck up, Santa. You fucking Center Square.
I think you're more of a Cloris Leachman.
You feel
Hey,
like
so
a-
nerd, we were saying earlier, you need to take the Hungar the Starvarian miniature, remix it a little bit, put him on like a pile of something, and then have like the barbarian slave girls just kind of like
And don't forget the Red Sonja nurses.
Yes. It was supposed to be the Red Sonja nurses around Hungar the Starvarian.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the.
But
I
otherwise,
might give that a
it's
go.
fantastic.
We'll see.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, think that the mini turned out perfect.
I think it's great. And also, I like the fact that they said, Nerd, you need to. You do not need to.
That's
Don't
fair.
let
That's
these
fair.
don't let these fucking geeks tell you what to do, man. Come on. Come on.
We have as much pull as a mouse, on a tractor trailer. So
All right, Shadow
I
got
kind
it
of
right,
assumed
man.
half of you were riding a tractor right now. So
hey, you know what? If I would. I'm out to my farm in probably about an hour. I just got to wait for the boy to make some food.
Cool. So
that's
Shadow got
alive.
it right, and that makes Hungar Alice.
I was,
Which is
thinking, by the
also
way,
acceptable.
Did you paint that? Did you paint that miniature yourself? For the video?
the hunger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not my greatest work, but I wanted something done and presentable, and I'm pretty happy with it overall.
Well, I wanted to compliment you on the work. I thought it was really well painted. The fact you mounted it on a clear base is just it speaks to my soul because I like to mount all mine on.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah,
we're
I
talking
only use
miniatures.
clear bases.
Ah,
I
Person
spent so
after
many
my own
hours
heart.
converting battle tech minis, and thanks to clear bases, it's all I use. Don't die, Bear.
I do the same thing with my BattleTech minis.
Bear's his own man. He doesn't want anything to do with taxes.
Do I do with what? Taxis? What?
Zone
Texas.
versus Texas.
I actually wrote up both sets of
Oh,
rules for Bastard Sword and Heroic, where we use zones and hexes. We use basically a theater of the mind, but if you are an asinine person who needs to use miniatures, here's some miniatures rules for you.
I think
I'm a river.
that
I'm gonna
I am
make
a
my
river
mission
to
to
my
paint
people.
minis for Bastard Sword and plaster them everywhere as Bastard Sword miniatures.
Do it.
You do
Do
that.
it. Get the license.
Okay, it was
Do it.
too bad you can't stay, nerd. Take care. Bye.
I think that every table needs a Hungar the Starvarian mini.
I'm just waiting for her to do like a miniature of each of you, so then we can just see how she really thinks of us.
Don't open a can of worms you don't want
Yeah.
to see now. Because you showed your chicken legs, so you're gonna look like Baba Yaga cut if you're not there.
You know what? I'm cool with
Oh,
that.
okay.
If you can put me on there, I will be like a Venture Brothers superhero with or villain.
Monsieur Boivin, m'aider, s'il vous plaît, Colis.
You just keep moving Omen out further.
You know what?
Oh.
It's where I
That's him.
belong, in the back corner.
I'm with you there. I just
Good
wanna
morning,
study
do the
something.
scotch.
Hey,
I'm
what was
gonna
that,
go
Mac?
get a cup of coffee.
Okay, well, you get yourself a cup of coffee, sir. What was that you said, Monsieur Boivin?
Oh, look at Discord.
What's going on in Discord? Oh, Jesus Christ. Do I have to open up Discord now?
I sent you something.
You don't understand. I unmuted all the channels. Now my Discord wants me to pay attention to it. I can't.
Man, that's so fucking annoying. Like Discord, like he asks so much attention.
I actually have as a default setting that I use when I join a Discord, telling it not to give me the beeps whenever people at me, because quite frankly, it beeps way too stinking much.
Omanal, those are your legs, brother.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, man.
You would be.
Anyways, I got to go do some errands, so I'm gonna take it off for a
All right,
while.
Mark. Take care, man. Thanks for stopping by, brother.
Later, Mark.
See ya.
Hey, Mark. Oh, he left. I was going to say something nice to him, but I guess he left. You never know. Now you'll never know, Mar Hockman. Was I going to say something nice? Was I going to say something mean?
Probably mean.
Probably.
Or both.
Oh yeah, I'm really good at the backhand mean. Brian,
Yeah.
knows it. I've given Brian fucking trauma over this at this point.
Mean comments is your love language, Bear. We all know that.
It is. No, but it is. This is what people fail to understand. If I don't fucking like you, I will not take the time to waste my mental energy on you. I will just ignore you or talk directly and flat to you. If I like
Pick on the
you,
people you like.
I'm going to poke you, and I'm going to, because that's the culture I grew up in, right? Like that's how it works.
You know, I would blush, you know, if I could. It's
Yeah, but see, as you are a vampire whose blood does not beat through his body, it will be very difficult for you to blush. That's the problem.
Somebody's blood is flowing through.
Somebody's blood. And Mar Hockman was never seen again.
Oh.
Komenau had a nice fan. There you go. All right. So, what the fuck else can we talk about that isn't miniatures? For the love of Jesus, Mary, and all the saints.
Miniature are fun to play. I don't play with them.
Star Trek.
No, God, no. Actually, after that comment from Boivin, yes, let's talk about Star Trek just to make him fucking feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I don't know how
always
this
a difficult
happened. Now,
topic.
like 2 people are streaming this. We got what fucking Hungar and who's that? Who's L? Is that you, Chris?
Yeah, I guess so.
You're streaming it on your channel now too.
Yeah.
Hi, all.
I forgot I could do that.
Oh man, that's from the hill. That's you, man. Oh, I kept seeing your comment. I didn't put like face on the name until now.
Yeah.
By the way,
There you
Omenal can't grow a beard clearly, and that's why I say he's a vampire, because he's just no more dead cells coming out of his body.
I know. You know, that was that time in Afghanistan where I grew the full beard, and boy, there was a lot of beard envy when I was there.
Yeah. But now you know,
Nerd, how is your beard?
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, at least it's not a
Glamorous and exotic.
Actually, whose beard are you would be a better question. You know. What? No one gets that? No one hung out in the gay community and gets the beard
No. I got it entirely. I'm just
Well,
like,
of course
wow,
you
she
did.
still stays.
Of course, Omenau got it. When it comes to gay stuff, Omenau gets it.
He's on top of that shit. That's my jam, yo.
Hey, you know what? If I was gay, I would at least have a date. You know.
A day? You would have a fucking month.
I don't know what the fuck that comment went, but it was over my head. That's for sure.
I don't know what's up with you peasants. I'm a coffee connoisseur. I drink the finest of whatever is cheapest and on sale.
Oh,
at the time that I buy coffee.
Oh, I thought that you're saying you buy the finest coffee that comes out of a cat's butt. And I was like, wow, you have some expensive.
If that shit was cheaper than Folgers at the time that I was buying coffee, I'd buy it. I don't give a shit.
Kopi Luwak cheaper than Folgers. There's been a massive collapse in Indonesia. That's all I'm saying.
I drink my caffeine cold and carbonated, just the way God intended.
I'm not allowed to have energy drinks anymore.
Always honest. I always thought it was funny, like about with the Mormon. Like I get not like stay away from caffeine, but no, just stay away from coffee. Yeah, caffeine is all right, just not coffee.
Coffee's on the list. Caffeine is not.
Caffeine is not. Yeah, exactly.
Max hates coffee.
I
don't like coffee. I don't drink coffee. I hate coffee drinker. It's different. It's different.
I hate the smell of coffee. You know?
Oh, can't stand the
I
smell.
walk to the coffee aisle. Ugh.
Hey, Brian.
I love the
Curtis.
smell. I just can't stand the taste.
Not really.
I
And
like
yes,
Curtis.
I buy coffee in those god awful yellow bricks.
Hey, Brian, Curtis, and Logan. Remember how we were having a nice, polite conversation? Everybody got to take their turn talking earlier. That's fucking over.
You're the one that invited Hungar.
I know, but it's because I love him so much. He's the dad I never had.
No, but what annoys me about like this coffee thing? It's like I hate people that make the whole personality about one thing. You know what I mean? And coffee drinker, something like that. Like not people like that just drink coffee. You know, I want to go to coffee, whatever. Just like you can have a coffee. I don't care. These people like, oh, I bought this like expensive machine and let me show you, and then they fucking talk about it. Nobody fucking cares. Stop it, you fucking coffee nerd. You know?
I don't buy anything.
Spend too much money on a fucking coffee and like, oh, I need coffee. I cannot function without coffee. Stop fucking crying, you big fucking baby. If you don't have coffee, just make still live your life. You know what I mean? That's what fucking annoying me about coffee drinker.
Oh, fuck. You're making me do it. All right, we're doing it. That's it. Here we go. Actually, Mr. Boivin, caffeine rewrites your nervous system. Therefore, when you do not have caffeine, it causes a withdrawal symptom and forces you to not function properly. Thank you, sir. Do your research.
No, I
That's
understand
not
that.
better.
But
That
it's
just
not
means
being
your entire
addicted to shit.
personality is being addicted.
Yes, absolutely. Oh no, I'm with you on that. 100%. Never forget the Air Force used to use caffeine as a stimulant during World War II for pilots. Like, and now we drink it like
the stimulant of World War
II.
II.
It's
Sorry,
not
what?
the worst stimulant in World War II.
No, not by a long stretch. Remember they were giving methamphetamines to the soldiers? Here's an idea. Let's send
Hey,
you to
did
war
it
zone
work,
on
though?
meth.
Did it work?
Did it work? Well, let's ask the
Well,
Germans.
do you want to fight someone on meth?
I lived in Orlando.
People on meth.
I lived in Orlando. I fought people on meth before.
Yeah, the buns
So
are
you know why they use it.
They break just as easily as the people not on meth, is what I discovered.
But they don't know that they're broken.
That's the truth. That is the fair fucking truth on that one.
She's got us there.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah. But it's the
Wow.
same thing with like weed culture and stuff like that. You know, like it's all those people like you know, you got an issue, you got a problem, you're addicted to something. You know, stop being like proud of it and making it your personality,
Okay.
right?
So your entire
Yeah,
rage
that's
about
big.
coffee people and their coffee bullshit is exactly how I feel about tattoo people.
Yeah.
Okay?
Or
No,
Harley.
I agree with you as well. On
It's
that.
like the tattoos don't make you interesting. Be interesting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
Also, what's going on with tattoos in young people these days? Like, what?
They
the
have
fuck
so
happened
much
there?
of them. Like
Holy
you see,
where's
I
you see
don't-
a
everybody
I don't
money
get that.
for all this.
exactly. You see like a fucking 18-year-old with a whole fucking sleeve of tattoo, like
And the
what? It's like
chest, this thing.
thousands of dollars of tattoos, like, and you're fucking 18. You don't even know who you are yet, and then you're gonna cover yourself with all those tattoos.
Yeah,
And
I
and
don't-
then they can't
gave up.
afford
They were
rent.
trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
They know they're
Yeah.
never going to own a house, so they just keep tattoos instead.
I
Like,
don't.
it's-
I
it
have
makes sense.
tattoos, and I normally I have tattoos for me. I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. or
Yeah, but
thinks
you don't keep talking about them.
But what gets me is all the face tattoos and shit nowadays.
That too.
My buddy Steve was a tattoo artist in Vancouver in the 90s, and he used to have this thing he called Free Forehead Fridays. And Free Forehead Fridays was if you come to see him on a Friday, he'll tattoo your forehead for free. But he was going to tattoo the word unemployable on your forehead. One guy took him up on it who already had like a dozen face tattoos, and he did unemployable in a really nice Gothic font on his forehead. And we laughed. Now I've literally done interviews at my jobs over the years where we're interviewing potential candidates, and they've got neck tattoos sticking out of their fucking shirts. They got tattoos going up the side of their head. And I'm just like, at what point did we stop saying that's too much? Maybe you need to calm that shit down. I used to know a girl was a banker. She would wear a button-up shirt and sleeves, and you would never fucking know. But on the weekend, she was a biker, and she was covered in tattoos. But she knew to go to work like a professional. That's gone.
I have a gecko on my neck, and when I got it like 30 freaking years ago, I was an edgy boy, and it's this big.
Yeah.
It's
When I
like
was a bouncer, if a guy walked into my bar with sleeve tattoos, I kept a fucking eye on that guy because he may be a legitimate badass. Now a guy walks in with sleeve tattoos, I avoid him because he might want to read me poetry about his vegan bicycle.
When I like
You know-
my most recent tattoo is like 19-year-old, right? Back then in the days, I was a guy with a lot of tattoos. Nowadays, like I'm like, I just got a few.
Well,
It's fucking-
and I understand what you guys think about tattoo culture and because I'm the same with Harley culture. It's like somebody buys a Harley, so they've got a small penis. Yay, good for you. And then
Really? Is that what you do when you have a small penis? Hang on, I gotta look that up.
everybody.
Hey,
see,
you
I
don't have to
wore-
put
I-
yourself down, remember?
I wrote a Vespa because I didn't have anything to prove. But every piece of clothing that they owned has something to do with fucking Harley.
Yeah.
And it's
I-
like,
Trying
a
to picture you on
personality.
the Vespa now.
I'm gonna say this much.
That's awesome.
Look, if you're Polynesian and you have face tattoos, fine, that's a cultural thing. But if you're doing it just because you don't even not, and if they're taking a stick and whacking it on you for 12 hours, more power to you. But this crap, no, I just like.
Is Kim signaling for help, or is she just making breakfast?
She's just mixing up her caffeine, cold and carbonated.
Ah, okay. Fair
I
enough.
don't know what's loud enough and what isn't. I was about to mute it, and then you chimed up.
No, we need to keep that the way it is in case
Yeah,
your
yeah.
wife needs
Leave it,
help.
man. Because we need to know if she needs help. Bang the pot 3 times. We need to know.
Yeah, the sounds of life.
All right. So, other than general shit talking, is there any topic we'd like to throw? Now, Barafen's vegan bicycles. What's next? Meatless hybrids? Yes.
Meatless.
You laugh,
Yes.
but
I don't know what the fuck a meatless hybrid is, but fuck those assholes. They're ruining culture.
Yeah.
So, what we got as a topic? Who wants to actually discuss something since we're all here? Because this is just degenerating into chaos at this point.
Excellent.
It is.
Yeah. I'm still trying to imagine you on a Vespa with your beard blowing majestically in the wind.
Well,
In
if it's a
Italy
Vespa,
going,
is the
"Ciao."
beard going forward because you can't outrun the wind?
Is that it? Huh?
If the wind's blowing behind you, the Vespas can't keep up fast enough, so the wind keeps blowing your beard forward.
Yeah. When you have to explain a joke, it's not funny. Just a freebie for you.
yeah, let's
No,
say,
I know.
if you have to take more than 10 seconds to explain a joke, it's not.
Yeah,
worth
I'm
it.
sorry.
No, he's right.
Speaking of bad jokes, is Justin around? Can we get Justin in here today and have him tell us some jokes that never fucking go anywhere? Damn, throwing some shade.
Yeah.
I
Damn,
actually
bro.
like Jason. He thinks I hate him, but I actually like him. It's just, as I say to Max Liao, if you're going to wave your dick in the wind, someone's going to cut it off. That's just how it works.
Well, you know,
I hate anyone. It's a waste of time.
Sorry, what?
I don't think I hate anyone. It's kind of a waste of time and energy.
Okay, I'm now convinced Mormons are actually from Kolob, because this is what I hear from Mormons all the time. You're always like, we don't hate anybody. We love everybody. You're all really nice people. And we
I
just
don't love everybody. I just don't hate. It's just
Okay,
it's a
whatever.
waste
There's
of
plenty of people I dislike.
yeah.
Split the hair. Split the hair as much as you can. Split the hair. No, it's true. I'm convinced you guys are from Kolob. Like it's legit. It's no bullshit. You're not from Earth.
I don't think any of us are from Earth.
Have you seen the French sci-fi show Missions? It's good.
Oh, you told me about that.
Good.
Yeah.
But the premise,
how did
fuck
they-
it, I'll spoil it. There's Hungar's Vespa.
Oh, yeah.
Ciao. Ciao. It's really good because the premise of the show is that humanity came from Mars. So they destroyed Mars and then fled to Earth, and now they're destroying Earth. It's actually really good. It is French, so there's a lot of philosophical pontification and strange camera angles where you just go, what the fuck? What does this have to do with the Basques? But apparently it has something to do with the Basques. But otherwise, Max, thank you for getting that joke. It's really good. It's a really good show. Worth checking out. Home now has turned into an old man. He's wandering around his apartment, wondering where he puts shit.
Maybe, maybe I'll check it out. But like,
I have earned that, damn it. No, I have a child that I have to direct too, so that doesn't help.
Really? Are you guys doing a musical, or is it more of a drama piece?
It's more of an opera, you know.
How old's the child?
14.
Oh, you're.
Oh, that's not a child.
That's
Hey, bud.
enjoy that, sir.
Time to give him a shovel and go fucking plant those cherry trees.
Well, he doesn't like role-playing games, but if it comes to fixing a washer, he's great.
Well, at least he's good for something.
I can think of worse things.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I look, when it comes down to fixing any of the appliances, I just leave it to my son. He'll do it. But
Yeah, that's convenient.
I'm like, why go to college? You're gonna be an electrician, boy.
I got
And then-
I got
and
two
then-
that did that myself.
And at the age of 18, Dad, I really want to dance.
Coming out, you want your son to be an electrician.
He's allowed to pirouette as he's putting in your, as he's putting your lines.
The dancing electrician with his mohair suit. That'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'll hire him. Fuck, send him my way. All right, so seriously, let's find a fucking topic. Otherwise, we're just going to degenerate into picking on each other again, which is what we do. So let's find a topic to discuss, please.
Star Trek.
Yeah. No, mission. I would be like I should fucking give it a butcher. Like give it a look. But the way the French talk kind of annoyed me oftentimes.
Yeah, well, the way you talk kind of annoys the shit out of them. So
Wow.
Oh no, you guys don't know. You guys
Oh, yeah.
do not understand how much everybody else in the world hates the sound of Quebecois French. They like Algerians rag on Quebecois French. Like it's because they're the only ones they speak in their nose in Quebec. right?
No, we don't.
Oh my god, you guys so sorry. Oh my god, this
Oh yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, but
It's
that's
like-
that's
it's right up
Gaspésie
there.
people. They're fucking like
It's not this fucking Labos
yeah.
sounds like that. Don't Gaspé people. I'll slap you, sir. We are fucking bad in the Gaspé. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
deny that. Our French is pretty shit, but like, come on, Saguenay is like that. Come on, everybody's like that in this fucking province. And it's weird because they use Norman French in Quebec, right? Which is the old French. And in France, they use La Nouvelle Française that Louis brought in. So for the best example is this. In France, when you lock a door, verrouiller. When you unlock a door, déverrouiller. In Quebec, when you lock a door, barrer. When you unlock a door, débarrer. So they literally refer to closing a door as putting a board in front of it to keep the barbarians out
Yeah.
of Quebec. So
it's still what
French
we do.
people
Like, a fucking
laugh.
deadbolt is a bar. It's just a small.
Yeah,
Okay,
bar.
that I
exactly.
can understand because you were originally a French colony. Like that, not okay.
Yeah.
I understand that concept.
Sure.
Like,
But we hate the way French, like the French hate how the way we speak, and we hate the way they speak because they all fucking sound like fag.
Okay, look, here's a really simple one for you guys. O-U-I. We. Nobody in the French-speaking world says we. In Quebec, they say ouin, and in France, they say ouais, ouais. Like you get someone from Paris, you know, tu viens au magasin, ouais, ouais, je pense que ouais. It's like no one says we. It would be like if no one said yes in the English-speaking world, and they all just said yeah and ye and everything else, as opposed to the word yes. It's fucked up, man. That language is
I'm
weird.
going to ask a quick question. Which languages for each race?
Oh, like the in fantasy race?
Yes. Which
Jesus.
which real world language should equate to each race?
I think
The
make
elves
the
would be
elves
like
French.
Yeah, the elves would be French.
They would like everyone makes them British, but I think they work much better as Ponzi fucking Parisians.
Yeah.
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 I make my my halflings in my world are Canadian and Upper Peninsula
really?
Minnesota type. So there's yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're halflings.
Don't
Oh,
make them
yeah.
Irish.
Nope. And my dwarves, mountain dwarves are German and hill dwarves are Yiddish. And it works out really well.
Yeah. Greedy and no.
Wow.
Well, you fucking walk into that, man. I don't like.
So I did that
wouldn't-
because Professor Tolkien based his dwarven culture on the Jewish diaspora. But thank you, Max, for making it Hitlerish. Thank you.
They know chick on the bring.
That's by the way, that's his new show on Netflix, Hitlerish. And it's going to be Max. Oh, hey, look who's back.
Oh, that's Liao.
Max Liao.
Hey, Legion of Myth.
Unlike you, I let chaos into my world, Max. I'm not such a control freak. I only let 6 people on at any time.
No,
Unless it's a Portland cafe, then it's only 6.
If we want to go like outside of just like the Anglosphere, right? Because
Yeah.
we're all gonna say like, oh, the Halfling or Irish or Canadian or whatever. Like, if we want to go outside of the Anglosphere and try to, I think like the dwarf would work, whereas Icelandic, because like they're always like depicted as tiny Viking. Maybe the elves French, yeah.
Who's going to be Icelandic? The dwarves?
The dwarves.
Yeah, it could work. Yeah.
Or
And,
German.
or German. It could be German as well. Yeah.
But I like the idea of dwarves trading for pickled herring all the time. Like that just sounds fucking awesome.
Well, Old Geek is saying that all fantasy races have British accents, the various regional dialects.
No.
No, hang on,
That's
hang
only
on,
when
hang
you get into space.
Hang on. Your empire is over. Finito. Not a lie.
What about
What are you talking about?
the?
You're still part of it.
I forget where I saw it, but there was that one show I used to watch had an amazing joke. It's like, I see you two speak the universal language of the universe, English.
Goes like, and then your neighbor fucking like steal it, and then you make booby trap.
Ben, they stole the yogurt. We must put down the traps. Get the 4 pounds. Jesus Christ. Oh my! There you go.
I want to know
Wrong
where
answer.
where
Be British. No, it isn't. I won't let it go. No.
I want to know where nerds got the idea to say it's a time of high cholesterol.
That was good. That was really good.
Yeah.
Let me
fucking
tell you, if
hilarious.
this is high
Look,
cholesterol.
I looked up the opening monologue and I spent longer than I should have because I enjoyed it more than I should admit and just made some dumb food jokes and swapped
No,
a
it
few
was
words
good.
out.
It was
No,
great.
you did
I like
great with
It was
that.
really good. Yeah.
bifocals on the troubled brow. That was the one I liked the most.
I like Sergeant Dan said that elf Japanese. I think that works. Dwarf Korean. I don't know. I don't know enough about Korean to say that. Halfling Filipino. I don't know. We all
Hello,
Actually-
Sheila.
Wow.
Hello, how are you? We'll take the ring to Mordor.
Yeah.
No.
What about Mexican halfling?
Oh my
A real
god.
Mexican.
Hey, hey,
Now,
hey,
now,
hey, wait a minute. How,
Is
how
that
does
right?
differ
What
from
is
real
that?
life? How does that differ from real life?
That's what I'm saying. Mexicans are short as shit already.
Well, it's been a good run here on Dare the Gen XPM, but apparently my channel will be canceled tomorrow. Thanks to this.
In Florida, we
So,
call
you
Mexicans
know.
decking fairies.
You
I'm
wanted
gonna
a topic.
reactivate my Patreon so you can just give me money to get therapy at this point. Fuck.
No, nerd. I agree that your intro was awesome, taking and modifying all the stuff in there for Hungars. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. I gotta go plant some cherry trees. So take care.
Later, Robert.
I still think
See
this
you,
is,
Omen.
this
We'll see you,
cherry tree
Omen.
thing is all code for something. I think he's off to like fucking hedonism or something.
Well, come down for the eclipse.
No,
We read
No.
Berserk.
My
I'm just getting
property's
buried
got
under no
4
goddamn
minutes.
cherry tree. No.
4 minutes of darkness for the eclipse. So anyway, take care, all.
Take care.
take care.
All right. Okay. So, Hungar,
Yes.
go ahead. We're being quiet. Bring us chaos, sir. It's gotten too calm.
I'm eating cereal, man.
It's chaotic.
That was exactly the chaos he was looking for. Just precisely.
I'm so glad I met you. You have no idea, Hungar, how fucking glad I am I met you.
Reese's peanut butter puff cereal.
We knew that somehow.
Anyone surprised? Anyone?
They don't get that in Canada. They only get one flavor of
Wheat bread.
no
Listen, we're not Mormons, okay? We actually can drink things. We don't have a
Captain
lid.
Crunch.
Captain Crunch. Yeah. If you, like you've seen like the IT crowd when they like I always like that joke when they say what do you eat for breakfast? Oh, Smarties cereal. So they know they make cereals. Well, they don't. It's just Smarties and milk.
I had Captain Crunch for the first time in my life when I was like 17 or something. And I ate my first like spoonful excitedly, and it was just stabbing the roof of my mouth. And I'm like, why the fuck do people like this?
Captain Crunch, right?
Yeah,
You learn to enjoy the
And
pain.
character.
I never had Captain Crunch.
it's vile.
It looks vile, but I'm not a big cereal guy.
Well,
It's-
back in the '80s when they insisted, okay, every breakfast cereal has to have gigantic amounts of carbs and sugar in it, and everyone
Yeah.
was like, okay, and so they
The
did.
80s.
Or
Dude,
well,
that shit started in the 60s.
Even-
well,
yeah.
yeah.
I-
Well, either way, like the medical community was like, hey, you should give all of your children a monstrous amount of carbs and sugars in the morning, and everyone was like, sure, that makes sense.
Cody, brother, you understand why I asked her on, why I want her on here with us, man? Because like if we get you back in here and me and her, Jesus Christ, it's a morning zoo, and we could just put it on the fucking play some records and go make money.
What the hell am I?
I will-
Chopped liver?
I will pay
I'm
money
sorry.
for
Okay,
that morning
who's
show.
whining about their fucking nasally voices not sounding good on the radio? Who was that?
My nasal voice sounds real good on the radio.
Yeah, okay.
I will pay for that
And my
morning
mommy
show.
told me I was pretty too.
I will pay for the morning show of Bear, Nerds Nerd, and GM Cody. I will pay
Insane.
money for that morning show.
And then Brian in the booth. We got to have Brian in the booth so he can just go, actually, guys, blah, 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 and drop some random factoid on us. And then we spend 10 minutes going, shut the fuck up, Brian.
Brian, we don't want to hear about England.
Go put on your fucking special underwear. Fuck off. And then Mormons boycott the show. It'll be really fun. I think it's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, we forgive you.
I used to do that to Christians I knew in college. They'd get really mad at me, and I'd be like, then forgive me, fucker. They'd be like, that's not how it works. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then
It's not how it works.
it's exactly how it works.
No, it's-
Jesus told you to turn the other cheek, sir. And it
Well,
wasn't
only have-
ignore
only have
things,
two
it was so I could
cheeks.
slap that one too.
yeah.
You could make an argument for 4, Mr. Max.
Well, but if you slap the last two, it's different. We're a different game now.
That's
Not
different.
me, Logan, and Curtis. They're just like, fuck those guys.
And the Pope clearly has there's one type of cheek slapping the Pope is against, and we must accept that, sir.
Is he? Is he though?
Well, the new one I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys, is it still Ratson? No, it's a new guy now.
No,
right?
no,
it's
it's
not the
Francis
Nazi
now.
anymore. Who is it?
Ratzinger was a good pope.
He was a Nazi.
I mean, the new guys from Argentina.
What's relevance that I
So,
What was that, Brian?
the new pope's from Argentina, I believe.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. I'm saying you want to say
He's
that
a
about
Nazi!
Ratzinger.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like an Italian from Argentina, right?
Yeah. That's a fair fucking point.
He's very light-skinned for an Argentinian.
Well, Argentinians are fucking white as fuck.
Yeah,
They
because
are.
they're all German.
Well, not only
even
that,
Spanish Argentines look like Europeans, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, if Argentina is not like warm. It's
Tierra
pretty
del
temperate.
Fuego, the greatest lie ever told.
Yeah.
It's not on fire. It's cold as fuck.
Man, I wish I would go there one day.
Tierra del Fuego?
Oh, I want to go there. The end
Why?
of the world. It's far away, you know.
I saw a really interesting report one time where they were talking about if you want to be safe from nuclear war, from fallout and stuff like that, Tierra del Fuego is the place to be due to the relevant wind patterns and currents. Then radiation is very unlikely to reach there. The fallout is very unlikely to reach there.
I heard New Zealand also.
Where?
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand's way too close to Australia, dude. Australia's
Yeah.
getting nuked, like for sure. China.
New Zealand
Australia
too,
needs to
hopefully.
get nuked, even without a war.
Sorry, what?
Australia needs to get new.
What, we're just bored. We now, well, fuck it. Let's pick on Australia. Like, what the fuck?
No, I'm
It's
like,
already trying to kill us.
No, but to be fair, Australia looks like it's been nuke already.
they've got all the mutant creatures anyway,
Yeah.
and fucking gonorrhea bears.
I have a friend of mine who's
Chlamydia.
a big time ancient alien theorist, and his whole theory is that Australia was the aliens' bioweapons testing zone. Like, that's why everything down there is so
Yeah,
fucking
don't think
crazy.
I believe it.
Dude, the top most poisonous thing in Australia has something like 150 times the amount of venom it needs to kill the apex predator. Why? Why the fuck did that
Because
evolve?
everything in Australia hates you. Like in the Amazon, everything wants to eat you. In Australia, everything wants to kill you. There is a
That's like
difference.
Australia was like a containment zone, you know, like God fucking
Yeah.
created something and say, that's fucking a bad idea. Let's put it there.
Yeah.
It was the
Canada, everything
testing
wants to
ground.
hug
Wasn't
you,
supposed to
especially the
leave
grizzly
there.
bears.
Yeah.
God
I was wa-
and England both had the same idea with Australia. Oh shit, I fucked up. Let's put this over there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was watching this series one time on Nature Channel or something where they were doing, top most dangerous. And they did each continent. And they did Africa, and it was the hippo of all things that was the most dangerous thing in Africa. And they did Australia, where their entire top 10 were things that kill you with poison. And it was just like fucked up. Then they got to Canada, and in North America, it's like the grizzly bear is the most dangerous thing in North America. And I'm just like, we're so fucking boring. Like, it's so boring. Like, I mean, fuck, a grizzly bear will fuck you up, but like, come on. Compared to like boxed jellyfish and fucking Sydney funnel web spiders that can punch through your toenail and shit. Like, what the fuck?
Blue ring octopus.
Yeah. Like Australia was
what,
just
like-
like a fucking woohoo, and then fucking India was cobras and tigers.
You watch people though, the people from Australia, they're afraid of our black widow. It's like,
Dude, you survive a black widow.
Yep.
Unless you're allergic, like you're gonna survive. It's gonna suck. Ah, Victor, man, get your ass in here, you little crazy Dutch freak. I love Victor. Shut up. You guys aren't allowed to talk shit about Victor. I love Victor. I get to talk shit about Victor.
I was about to say, you should talk him all the time.
I do. I should talk you too, Curtis, but I've been nice to you lately. Don't make me regret that.
This little fucker could kill like a level 1 wizard.
Yeah. So here's a good point. Okay, so Mercurius, you're Aussie. Every Aussie always tells me they're like, oh no, we don't, that stuff's only when you're outside the city and stuff like that, despite the fact that one of the most venomous spiders is named for the city of Sydney. How fucked up is it down there, really? Like, how fucked up is all of this poisonous shit in your home and your shoes and under your bedding and whatever? Like, how bad is it? Honest talk. Don't start your drop bear bullshit because I'm tired of you fuckers with that bullshit. Just tell me the truth, please. What is a redback?
It's a type of spider.
Yep.
Yeah, they red-bellied black snake. All right. You know, it's the kind of place like when you want to put your shoes in the morning, you have to check if there's not like a fucking spider that's gonna fucking kill you in there. You know, it's like, well, you know, I can live without that. You know, if I'm gonna put my shoes on and there's like a fucking bug in them, I'm just gonna squish it. You know,
Not in Australia.
I'm gonna win. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna win while you're turning blue and fucking dark.
No, exactly.
veins
Like
going
no.
up your
I mean,
body,
here in Canada. You know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a fucking earwig in my shoes. Oh, fuck.
We're starting to get brown recluses in Canada. Finally.
Oh, really?
They're not that bad. I've been bit by a brown recluse.
And also, like for the last 10 years, we had like ticks, which are fucking annoying. You know, they fucking bite you, and then like your knees get fucked up, right?
I saw a fucking disturbing video talking about the Lone Star tick, which is this the only tick that has eyes, and it's the only tick that's aggressive. Like other ticks just wait for you to brush on the grass and then they latch on. The Lone Star hunts, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were weaponized at fucking Montauk by these fucking scientists and then released into the wild, slightly irradiated so they could track them. And they showed the map of the fucking spread of them that are starting to come into Canada. Why, America? Why do you need to do this to us? Why? What the fuck?
And they can make you allergic to meat, so a fate worse than death.
Because
allergic to meat.
Yeah. You can't eat beef if you get bit by one. Yeah.
And it's fucking named like the Lone Star, like fucking Texas, right? Like,
well, it's because it has a star pattern on its back.
I know, but it's ironic, you know. It's like the fucking state that is known for like barbecue and shit. Now, like, well,
fair.
Hey, Victor.
Hey, Victor.
Victor, we're having crazy time. What's up over there, Dutchman?
I just woke up at 5 p.m.
There's the most dangerous thing to the Dutch.
Victor?
Only
if it's your Dutch boys.
That's why they contain me in this shitty apartment over here.
Seem to have a great view.
Yeah.
Wow, you did just wake up. Please have a shot. You're very quiet. It's disturbing me. I don't like this.
Yeah, well, you know, this is actually my natural personality when I'm sober.
Trade that shit in.
Yeah.
All right, topic. Let's find a topic because we're just rambling all over the place. Brian, give us a fucking topic. You're the only sane person in this room.
How did I get voted the most sane in the chat?
Brother,
garlic make my feet stink.
Even Peanut Gallery doesn't agree.
That's because she has to live with you.
That's fair. That's
Sci-fi.
very fair.
You know, it's kind of thing like it says more about the rest of the panel than it says about you.
That's true.
All right, fine. I'll say it.
No.
D&D.
Yeah.
Why does it suck so hard, and why do people keep playing that shit show?
I don't
Because
know.
it was the most popular game.
First in, best dressed.
Yeah. That's the thing about it. It's almost like network effect. You know, like if you want to outrecruit something, like, you know, like Facebook was kind of first in doing what they do. If you want to do like you don't need to be better. You need to be like 10 times better, because like fucking like this inertia that's built in being first. Being first is a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
So that's why
D&D used to be cool.
Hmm?
D&D used to be cool. That's what.
Well, we also used to be 14, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Here's my take on that. D&D was never cool. The people who actually played it back in the day, we thought it was cool.
Yeah.
The issue with it now is they're trying to make it cool and trying to make it like, ooh, I play D&D, I'm cool. So they get all the younger kids, the high school kids, the college kids, and that's their own little niche. They'll be out at the park. Oh, I can't hang out with you tonight. I've got my D&D game.
Okay, that was a salient point. Who are you and what have you done with Hungar?
He just finished his breakfast. That's why.
Ah, that's it.
Blood
See,
sugar's
I-
up.
I don't really agree that D&D sucks. Even 5th edition, if you know what you're doing, you can run it pretty tightly. The problem is that most people that play and run it these days suck.
Yeah.
So that kind of reflects on the game badly.
There's the man who writes supplements for D&D.
No, but
Well, I also write those shit for other games, but yeah.
let's
For
be
D&D.
honest. if
like or clone of D&D.
Okay, Bloodline,
Sure, but
you're
I mean-
putting off Brian. We all protect
Sorry.
Brian like a little.
no,
special
it's
people.
fine. It's fine.
Remember last night when I tried to talk, you went, "Hey, Brian, it's the king." Okay, fuck.
But let's be honest. If it wasn't for a lot of the going back, a couple hours ago, if it wasn't for a lot of the culture war stuff, if Wizards of the Coast was still putting out good supplements, would we be talking crap about it the way that we do?
No, well, no, I don't think so. I think the culture war is a big part of it, but it's also like D&D. Like I said, it's like kind of like the default position, the neutral position, and everything like radiates out of there. Like so. Yeah, of course, it doesn't have like a specific flavor because it's what everything else compared to in that sense. So it doesn't do like anything exceptional. It does what is like fucking great.
D&D is like Kleenex and Xerox. It's what everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but that's
there's only
my
two
issues-
RPGs. There's D&D and there's not D&D.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that is like, hey, I'm going to go play D&D. I'm not playing D&D. I'm playing Warhammer Fantasy Role Playing, but I call it D&D.
Yeah,
because I've been playing D&D for so long that that's just a generic term for me nowadays.
Yeah, it's like Kleenex, like Dan said.
Yeah.
Mm.
Kleenex and Band-Aid.
Yeah. And if you want to explain like what this different RPG is, you're gonna explain it how it's different from D&D, right? That's basically how it's gonna go, right? It's gonna it's like D&D, but instead of this, that because it's the reference that we all have.
See, I don't believe Guardian said this because it's written the way Max speaks. I interpret that as Bear just suck at D&D.
Guardian been hanging out with me.
It's your fucking puppet account.
Good morning.
I figured out what the bloop sound is that they picked up in the oceanography was Hungar having a swim. Holy fuck. The fuck? He's not starvarying right now. Okay, so but here's the thing, Victor. I agree and I disagree on the whole culture war concept, right? And I agree you can make any version of D&D sing. For me, the inherent problem with D&D is class level. Those are always going to be my issues with D&D, is because they cause such roadblocks to playing that you're going to be forced. So as you make choices, even in 5th edition, as you make choices with your characters you level, you wind up going down paths that you can't break out of because you're now stuck in that route. And that's
more
one of my
modern D&D though.
Huh?
That's more modern D&D, where they guide classes to a certain specific class abilities, to feats and stuff. If you play like BX, most everything is like up front. The only thing you get is like, oh, at level 9 now I can like get a keep.
Now I can get some friends.
Yeah, as a fighter, like from level 1 to like whatever, like if you play back me like level 30, level 36, whatever it is, like you pretty much have the same ability. You just get better at them.
I don't like level games. I don't like games that rely on levels to make it where you can do stuff.
I don't either.
I'm a skill-based player.
So I'll be honest, I love them.
Of course you do. You're creative.
Level game?
No. What'd you say, Mr. Max?
You like the level in games?
I like race class level because it restricts the options for me, and it lets me actually focus. It's absolutely an ADHD thing.
Yeah, you're gonna trend towards analysis paralysis because of that ADHD thing. That makes perfect sense. But for the other people who don't have ADHD, is it a benefit or is it a hindrance or is it a crutch or is it a impediment? To I get tired of, I'm making a wizard, so I'm going to take this spell at this level and this, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, play the fucking game. Stop.
Yeah, just play your character, don't play your level.
I like options. Gotta have options. It's a classic.
I think what Bear meant is that play the character, don't play the build. As in, don't look at the character you want it to be at level 20. How about you play the character as it is at level 2? Like,
yeah. I can agree to that.
I literally
again, it's a consequence of the people though that play, because I don't plan out my characters. I just make my level 1 character and I see how they go. I'm like, I want to make a fighter, and if the fighter ends up being like a really awesome like bow shooter at level 6, so be it. If he ends up being like a dual scimitar fighter, so be it. But like I said, again, that's a consequence of the people, and I think that's a consequence actually of Third Edition. Third Edition really started that with the builds.
Yes. I got given shit in a 3E game when I was actually a player because I took a feat. I can't remember what fucking feat it was. And the other player who played more than me was like, oh, don't waste your time. That's a useless feat. I'm like, but I like it. It's cool. Like, yeah, but it did. And he started explaining all the math to me. And I was like, yeah, but I like it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the problem is. I like
3E
it.
brought min-maxing to the forefront of D&D. And I run a 3E game. Well, I was running a 3E game, and I like playing 3E, but with the feats and everything, it did bring min-maxing to the game more than it had ever been.
No, I blame the internet for that.
I think like a big thing is like well, the internet is a big part of it because I know people talk about build. You know, it's easy to talk about on the internet. It's easy content, like, oh, look at this build. But also I think like the fact that D&D is usually the first game somebody plays, so you're gonna have a lot of like newer player now that come from the video game world. When you play WoW, it's the same thing. You join a fucking group in the Party Finder, they look at your fucking build, and they kick you out if you didn't like did the optimal build because you're gonna be dead away. You know, like that's fucking
why
annoying.
I stopped playing WoW.
Exactly, but now people play D&D in the same way because like they probably played WoW before they played D&D, or they probably played some video game before they played D&D, before they played role-playing game, and now the first role-playing game they get into is D&D. So you say like, oh, the people playing D&D sucks. I guess they're probably gonna be like more because it's just like funneled a newer player that didn't like I got their kink ironed out, right? So that's probably why like there's a bigger percentage of people that do like the...
All right, Logan.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. My family is beckoning me.
Families are for the weak.
Well, you think I always hide out in my bedroom?
Thanks for having me on, Barry.
Chris,
I had a lot of fun this morning.
Listen.
Hi, Chris.
I wanted you on because I was starting to feel like you'd stopped hanging out with us, and that made me sad.
It wasn't that I didn't want to hang out with you guys. I've been really busy. But
he kept me company yesterday while I was painting. Like no one else would chat. But Chris was all in there. It was great. Thank you, sir.
I'll be back around as much as I can. You guys take it easy.
Bro. Always good to have you here, buddy.
See ya.
Good, buddy.
Bye.
Plus, I want to get really in good with the Mormons, just in case they're right. So I want to make sure I have more Mormons.
Oh, there's a very limited
Nothing
number.
would piss off my poor Anglican ass than Judgment Day comes and we find out, no, the Mormons were actually the ones that had it right. Ah, fuck. You know, like that aside.
I'd be like, what the hell's going on?
I think Cody brings up a good point, though. He says, why I hate feats and powers, it makes the players focus more on the game aspects and less on the role play.
Yep.
It can. And it's something I'm having problems with in Bastard Sword during the playtest I'm running in my live game. One of my players is building a lot of his stuff around what powers and abilities he can take for the character as opposed to the character. And that's a little bit annoying because as a result he winds up directing the other players and he's like, but you should do this instead and this, and I'm just like, that's why I'm rethinking a lot of Bastard Sword right now. And a lot of it is based around that shit.
In playtest though, those kind of player, they can be annoying in regular play, but in playtest they're kind of useful.
Oh, very, very useful. Very useful. 100%.
But the whole build, the whole build thing, that doesn't just apply to like class systems though, because I used to play a lot of Shadowrun, and like that Shadowrun is like you can just make your character however you want. It's like a point buy system, but builds still happen in that. Like people will be like, oh, I wanna be like this specific type of gunslinger, so I need these skills, I need these stats, I need these cybernetics or this wetware and stuff like that. And the same thing happened, even though it's not a class system. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's only
I don't mind the class system. I don't mind the class system. I just like skill-based games over level games.
Yeah, same with me. What I don't like about D&D mostly is the D20. Like I find the weight of the dice roll is too high compared to your character ability and stuff like that. You roll D20 and then you add like 3, 4, 5 to it if you're good at something. You know what I mean? Like that's like a very small portion of your total result that comes from the character, and a big portion that comes from the dice. I find it's like, that's what bothers me the most about D&D. I'd say.
You know what I dislike about D&D the most is Critical Role.
Yeah, you don't like Critical Role?
I fucking hate Critical Role.
I liked the first season of Critical Role. After that, it got too Dirty Dozen for me, and I was just like,
Wait.
I'm not into non-heroic role-playing games.
Hungar, you talk about the show, or you talk about the actual Critical Role in the game?
The show.
Oh, okay.
I love criticals in the game. Crits are the best in the game. It's like it takes like one of my favorite games I ever played growing up was Mercs, Middle Earth role playing system. And it doesn't matter how powerful your ass was. If an orc got a good arrow on your ass, you were dead. It could happen.
Yeah, but MERP suffers from the problem that I'm seeing against the Dark Master, which is combat breaks the game into a fucking tactical warfare simulator. And it's a really tiresome thing to run. You're in the middle of some high energy role playing, and then suddenly, okay, guys, what's your declarations? All right, movement phase, ranged phase A, spell phase. It's like, holy fuck. Like, I don't want to play miniatures warfare. And I get it's an old system. I get that it has that ancestry attached to it. That's when it was written, when that stuff was trying to be translated into a role-playing game. But I like to think we've moved beyond that now, and we can have a separation between the two. The problem is, the danger is what Winter was saying. She said chasing levels, you end up in chasing levels instead of story. And the downside for me to that is the inverse, which is you end up with games like Fate, which are so fucking tiresome to me. I literally tried to make a character. I'm like, well, how do I get my armor? Well, it's an aspect. What? My equipment is an aspect? So I have to pay a point? What if I don't have the point? I can't use my armor? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's insane. Yeah. So there's a happy ground between the two, but I don't know what game hits it. Like, I don't think there is currently a game on the market that hits the happy ground between those two types of game. It's one or the other.
I want to bring up what Victor Gibson just said, and I wanted to say it myself. Curtis, what the fuck, man?
I was illustrating how Against the Dark Master does combat, where everything is a freaking dance routine, and you have to follow the commands of the dance master. Otherwise, shit just breaks down.
You can dance if you want to.
You have to do everything in order. You have to do everything in order. Otherwise, the game just completely destroys itself. It's like.
Well, like with most games, the crunch is in the math. With Fate, the crunch is in the language.
Yeah.
Where you have to word your aspects correctly to get the most out of them. And if you're not an English major, just like with Millennium's End, with the combat system of Millennium's End, you got to be a math major in order to get anything out of that. I like the concept of Fate. I don't like its execution.
I liked it better when it was fudge. And
I just like fudge. Fudge is delicious.
Yes.
But the one thing I hate about the whole build and class thing is when people like already select their multi-classes beforehand. It's like, oh, I'm gonna start as Rogue, and then at level 4 I'm gonna go into Paladin because it gives me like this synergy. I'm like, how did you become a Paladin all of a sudden? We're in the middle of a wasteland.
Oh,
like
no.
no.
One for me is Barbarian. I'm gonna get into Barbarian for a couple of levels. What? You fucking forget all of civilization and go live in the woods? Like, what the fuck? How do you just be a Barbarian all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Curtis, can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, that has to be a consequence of what happens to your character, not just because of synergy or whatever.
But this is brings another topic that I fucking hate in D&D, multi-classing. Hungar, are you leaving? No.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
No, goodbye. I'm going to leave you streaming on my channel, and I'm going to have you running in the background. I just got some stuff I do around the house.
You do, bro. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
See you, Hungar.
Get a Hungar Starvarian figure because they're badass and they're free.
Can't argue that. It's the right price. Yeah, I don't like multi-classing. Like, multi-classing really annoys the fuck out of me. It's because it ties into that build mentality, right? Where I'm going to build my character. I'm going to focus on the future of the character as opposed to the immediate of the character. And while I understand the appeal of the build, I do agree with you should be focusing on the now of your character and then see where they go through story, right? Because if you already have a predetermined path in your head, you're never going to react to what's happening in the game. Curtis, remember when your character suddenly became something else in the BX game? Yeah. He wasn't expecting it. He hadn't planned it, but the story gave it to him, and he jumped on it because it was a good story beat. Had he planned out 10 levels of character, he would have rejected the story beat because it didn't fit his plan.
Yeah.
So
What?
Go ahead.
What if you had like something that you need to accomplish in game if you want to gain a new class? You can pick one class at the beginning of the game, but then if you want to become like a wizard, you need to go spend some time study. You want to become a fighter, you could.
That should be you should go train for it, or something should happen to your character where that's the natural consequence of.
You want to become a warlock, you need to meet a freaking fiend.
But that's in game. Castles and Crusades mechanically has a great thing for that with the class and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is basic, and it's something I'm trying to do with Bastard Sword, which is okay. You're a fighter, and now you want to become a wizard. Well, unlike D&D, where you'll be just as good as a first level wizard when you take the multi-class, here it's like you can get some magic, but you're never going to be as good as the dedicated wizard because you are a fucking dilettante. You are picking up a little bit of something as opposed to focusing your life on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the problem with multi-classing. We are told a level 1 character is the culmination of someone focusing their life into a career and then giving up the career to go out and become an adventurer. But if they can multi-class at that point in time, it totally dismisses the other person from that class who's supposedly spent their life focusing on that goal. Well, now anyone can do that. So what the fuck, It's weird.
Well, if you look at like the hero characters that they give like stat blocks, like Conan the Barbarian or whatever. He's like a 10th level fighter. He's like a 6th level rogue and whatever. But that's like the consequence of Conan's life experience. He's a slayer. He's a weaver. He's a pirate. He's a thief, and all this stuff. So.
He's also a character in a book that has a writer on his.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, but I'm just saying, like, but even if you look at, but people take those as examples of like, oh, well, that I can also do that. Like, I'm also going to multi-class like that. But I don't know, like I said, those multi-classes are a result of like what that character actually did and experienced, and not just
I have
because.
to make a point. Hang on a second to get off topic. Brian, Kim just cleared her throat, and Beans called out to her from behind me. She literally went, and Beans went like he was asking a question of her. That's
clearly everyone likes Kim. So
I don't even know why.
what did she say?
She said, "I don't even know why."
Because we've met Brian and we feel great sympathy for her.
Because they've met me and they feel bad for you.
Yeah, let's take let's take an actual D&D character. Let's take Drizzt. He's a multi-class, but that's because he spends like years living by himself in the Underdark as like a savage. That's why has levels in Barbarian. He has like levels in Ranger because he dedicated himself to becoming a Ranger. He has levels in Fighter because he's like a really good sword fighter. Stuff like that. But like again, that's like a consequence of how the character like all his experience, all the stuff that he went through in his life. But people don't play their multi-classes like that. Again, it's like, hey, I want this synergy. I want my attacks to be able to do radiant damage, so I'm gonna take a level in Paladin randomly. Like, no, it shouldn't work that way.
I need liquid. I'll be right back.
All right.
Well, and I agree with you, Victor. A lot of times when I'm doing a build in D&D, I'm looking at if I want a multi-class, I want to know why that character's going to end up multi-classing.
Yeah.
One of the things we started doing too with 5e is we did a all bards campaign.
Yeah.
Where everybody plays bards and we're playing,
playing a band.
Yeah, basically we're a band.
On tour. Yeah.
And we all got arrested because I decided as the gates open up to town, we're going to have a parade. And we didn't have a parade permit. So we got arrested. Which, again, spontaneous, rolling with it, fun.
Yeah.
Don't get bogged down in your stats. Don't get bogged down in your builds. Play the character that you have there in front of you. It's a bard. He's gregarious and charismatic. And we're all marching through this one place. By God, it's a parade. And by God, we're going to make it a parade.
Isn't a bard just the effective multi-class of itself? Like it's a little bit of a fighter, it's a little bit of a spellcaster, it's a little bit of a healer. It is a multi-class.
A little bit of a rogue.
Mhm.
A little bit of a rogue.
Yeah. But the bard was like, especially in modern D&D. In old D&D, the bard was like this. You need to have like you needed to multi-class a few times. You need like to have like a few level of this and a few level of that. Like Sean could tell us exactly, but I don't remember.
Yeah, second edition, the bard is just a subclass of what's it called? It's not thief, it's not rogue, it's something.
What?
I-
Second edition.
You had like to have some druid level at some point as well, like just like. But now, like the bard is like kind of like always been the jack of all trade, master of none kind of character. So often there to like Raven just said there, like the bard is more of a jack of all trade. Exactly. You're not excel at anything except being annoying. The way modern people play it.
Yeah.
The one thing this is like my big stickler with 5th edition, because I've ran a lot of it. Me, Victor, and have both ran a lot of it. My issue with 5e when it comes to multi-classing is pick one, please. Either do classes with millions of different subclasses to it, or have a class that does 1 or 2 or 3 different things and then allow multi-classing. When you do multi-classing plus all these different subclasses, that's when things get really, really, really sticky. If that makes sense. That might not make sense.
No, it
Would
makes
you
sense.
agree, Victor?
Yeah, no, because like say you have like level 3 fighter and level 3 paladin, then you get both subclasses from like at level 3. Like at both of those levels 3, all of a sudden you're a what's it called, a Eldritch Knight and an Oath
Vengeance
of the-
Paladin.
Yeah,
Vengeance
whatever.
Paladin.
Yeah. Well, actually, paladins do get their subclass earlier, but yeah, I get what you mean though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think multi-classing, like I get why it exists. People want that, that fighter that with a little bit of spell casting, something like that. So I think, I do think like 3rd edition and beyond went a little too crazy with it, but maybe something where it's like, okay, like base classes, say fighter, wizard, thief, and cleric. Okay. Any class can multi-class with those. So later, like, you're a fighter, but you decide that you needed to enter the monastery for a while. Okay, cool. You can gain levels in cleric, but not have it where like, oh, I'm gonna take a level of paladin. Well, yeah, no, that's not how a paladin works. Sorry, you can't multi-class into that.
Well,
you also like paladin. You also had like you need the specific stats back in the days, not anymore. But
So this takes me back to my original point about my issue with D&D. Everything in D&D gets in the way of role playing, gets in the way of playing an organic character, and forces you to make arbitrary decisions based on mechanical caveats. It's not fun, for me. For other people, it could be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but for me, I'm like, this is not fun.
Well, first level D&D or 1st edition D&D also, if you multi-class, you started out multi-classing, and you had to split your experience between all the classes, which means you were going very, very slowly up in level.
Well, this might be a hot take, but I think that the whole like role-playing thing is something that got tagged on later. I don't think that originally D&D was made for really in-depth role-playing. It was more of like a roguelike. Yeah. It was like you were supposed to just go into this dungeon and you were supposed to try and survive it and go as deep as you can and get this treasure and take it back to town and then do it again and level up. The whole role-playing aspect, like playing your character and like having romance and like epic stories and like all that shit, that came later. And that kind of got tagged onto like onto a game that wasn't originally designed for it. So it kind of is like a weird mismatch at this point.
Agreed, but we've evolved beyond that in many other games now. And it's
yeah, of course, but if you want in-depth role playing, then play those games. Is what I'm saying.
And that's
exactly.
what I say.
That's
my point. Is D&D is out. We've outgrown D&D's usefulness at this point in time. For me, when I play D&D, it's because I want that flavor and only that flavor. So I'll play some D&D to get that flavor. But it's like KFC, man. I'm gonna eat it once and then not want to eat it again for 6 months because it made me want to fucking throw up afterwards. It's just the way it is. Sorry, for Americans, Canadian KFC is disgusting. I've had American KFC. It's quite good
Already.
compared to ours. Ours is super greasy.
Really?
And nasty.
It's
Yeah,
trash in the U.S.
it's worse in Canada.
I don't believe that.
Bojangles. Bojangles. I
The
love
KFC
Bojangles.
The KFC near me is actually pretty decent, but
Okay, well, we can start arguing about our favorite chicken joints if we want. The point
Uh,
is that I was saying that it's one of those things that when you want it, you want McDonald's. Okay, when I want McDonald's, there's nothing else that's going to hit that fucking spot other than McDonald's. Well, that's what D&D is. You know,
I could go for some McDonald's right now.
I
I'm
play
gonna have to
different
take-
games for different reasons.
I'm gonna have to take Kim grocery shopping at some point, and now I
Yeah.
want food too.
the
the balance leaving, is that what's happening there, Brian?
Not quite yet, but she's starting to poke me. So
Oh, dude, go take care of your woman. Happy wife, happy life. Come on.
Like,
the thing with multiclassing also what I always found weird is like when you have like those class like paladin, you have those class like ranger, and you have like they always almost always already feel the niche of the multi-class. You know, like a ranger.
Mhm.
What is a ranger if it's not like a basically part fighter, part rogue? You know, with paladins, part cleric, it's part fighter. You know, there's always like those things that, and then you're gonna add like what you're gonna do like a fucking part ranger, part paladin, part, you know, like at some point just become like
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Paladin, ranger,
Yeah.
what else? Fuck, like what else can you throw in there? Bard. I'm a paladin,
Bard.
ranger, bard. What?
Yeah.
yeah, well, and I think you're exactly right, Mr. Max, which is why I said like if it was limited to like
Yeah.
the core classes, okay,
Mhm.
you know, if you're a paladin, you want to, you know, multi-class into fighter or something. Yes, paladin's already a fighter, but he spent time training extra fighting or something. I don't know, but I think that's why they came out originally, but it's obviously evolved a lot since then.
Well, that's the thing, though. It has.
Yeah, and 3.5 was where I started, and probably the worst for that, because you had your base classes, and then you would have prestige classes, and then you had new classes from supplements that did the same thing as those prestige classes, and then you also had alternate class levels you could take for the same class to accomplish the same thing as the prestige or the multi-class, which there was like 6 different ways to get what was essentially a paladin.
That's why
I think we can all agree
three
3.5 sucked, and I don't think anybody here's a big 3.5 booster. Though maybe Curtis because he likes Pathfinder.
I like 3.5, but I like I like different types of D&D for different purposes. So I like 3.5. I like 5th edition if I want like tactical combat and like, you know, stuff like that. I want to I want to move tokens around the map and like do flanking and like do all this stuff. I play if I want like in-depth roleplay or something. I'll play like Savage Worlds. I'll play World of Darkness, whatever. But like there's different games for different purposes, and then I think that's fine. But the
kinda
problem
games.
is when people try
Fine.
to shoehorn purposes into a game that aren't meant for it.
But this is the problem with the popularity of D&D, the dominance of D&D. How
Yeah.
many fucking live streams have I been a guest on where you guys either talk about D&D or miniatures for hours on end? How many have I been
Many.
on where they talk about Marvel or where they talk about World of Darkness or anyone who's into anything other than D&D is a niche within a niche. You know what I mean? I took niche and niche and put them together as niche. We're a niche. We're a subdivision within a subdivision. What is this? What are you showing us?
It's a miniature. I don't care. It's,
Okay,
well,
you feel
it's
good now?
Gowron, but,
You
yeah.
feel good? My Gowron.
Maybe if we got more chubby goth women on, we would talk about World of Darkness more.
Maybe if we talk about World of Darkness, we'll have more gut women.
It's a fucking Inception.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Um,
problem
the
with
chicken and
necessarily the
egg.
goth women being involved, but let's just skip World of Darkness.
Listen, I'm sure it's on your list. The forbidden topics, but the point is this:
Not
this
forbidden.
cat is driving me fucking insane. I don't know what he wants.
he wants attention. He wants to
My
play.
point is that D&D controls the dialogue for the most part in dominant ways, and as a result of that, you never like I've said this so many times with all these Kickstarters. How many fucking versions of D&D do we need to release at this point? Have we not scratched all the fucking D&D itches? And can we start making some new games, please? Like that would be really happy times for me. Fucking Kobold Press did two things I didn't understand. One, they just made another fucking 5e clone, and two, they took the coolest name for a 5e clone, Black Flag, and turned it into Tales of the Valiant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus
I thought that was
Christ.
Paizo. I thought Paizo did
No.
Tales of
No,
Valiant.
that was
No,
cool.
they-
Oh, no, that's Kobold.
They have Pathfinder.
They like Cobalt Press, they fucking make themselves so fucking irrelevant. You know, say, okay, perfect
Mhm.
Black Flag, we make our own game, stuff like that. it's gonna be 5e, and it's gonna be called like nobody fucking cares. And like
Hey, but you know what? Dirty old Grognard gave. We only need 6 more, and then we're all good. After 6 more D&D clones, we can stop having D&D clones. You know.
But that's like when your wife asks you like how many tools do you need? Like, one more, you know. Just one more. The answer is always the same. Just one more.
I just need this one thing, and it's going to make everything different. The problem is that the inherent problems of D&D that are constantly being addressed in these clones, it's always a different problem someone's trying to address. It's never all the problems at one time. And 2, there are nothing but problems in D&D. So you're going to be constantly trying to address them with other things, adding skill systems, finding a way to do spontaneous magic, this, that, and the other thing. Hey, let's play something else.
Problem is that Gygax voted for a very specific purpose, but nobody knew what he fucking meant because Gygaxian, and then people who didn't know what he meant just ran with it, and it morphed the game into like a completely different direction, and they started all tagging all this shit onto it that, like I said, the game wasn't originally really meant for, and now we've got like this weird mishmash of ideas. That's why, people try to use 5e for like in-depth romantic roleplay and shit like that. It's like, no, it's for dungeon crawling and for surviving the wilderness. It's not for your lesbian tiefling romance.
Oh, wait, you don't talk shit about my lesbian tiefling romance.
What annoys me about this whole thing is like I love the medieval fantasy kind of thing. I do prefer usually like lower fantasy stuff like that. But that's the setting I want to play in, kind of thing. I want to play like people with sword fighting each other and stuff like that. But they
Fuck you, Donald.
But now, like, you want to make a different game about that, right? Like, maybe I'm trying to do right now. And people say, if I want to play that, I'm just going to play D&D. Yeah, but you understand that, like, D&D is not just a setting. The fucking rules also tell you what you should do in that game, right? And what I'm trying to tell you with the rules I'm writing or whatever is to do something different. Yeah, it's the same setting. I don't want to fucking play an emo vampire, I don't want to fucking play like a guy in a tight uniform in a spaceship that look like a saucer. I don't fucking care about those things. I want to play like a guy with a sword that punch people in the face, right?
We all agree setting Trump's system, and it should always be setting Trump's system. You should not break the setting to fit the system. You should either break the system to fit the setting or find a better system for that setting.
But I think those are very intertwined because the system is going to tell you about your setting, right? If you're like a big, like, if there's a lot of magic, if you're a big bag of hit point, it's going to tell you about the setting in itself, right?
It can, but what I'm saying is that's because you're accepting the trump of system over setting. You're allowing the system to influence the setting. I'm saying go in reverse. Let the setting influence the system, which means you're going to have to find usually something else. And that's when you wind up in generic systems because they're the easiest to adapt to any setting at that point in time. But here's the other problem we have. You said, I like medieval fantasy role-playing. Okay. Pathfinder, D&D are the dogs, the fucking gorillas of the setting, of the thing. Now, start telling me about other generic fantasy role-playing games.
Gold Cellar, Lion and Dragon.
And you can't use D&D clones, but fuck you, Victor. That was good. In my game,
like RuneQuest.
I'm smoking my fucking own farts right now, but I'm not pundit. I won't make fun of them too hard.
Yeah.
So the point becomes, Harn is not generic. Harn is set the setting of Harn.
You correct.
99.9% of the other fantasy games out there that are designed for fantasy.
Well, is Pathfinder generic?
Yes, Pathfinder's generic.
They have
a world, but Pathfinder is as generic as D&D.
Yeah.
But all the other ones out there are usually tied to a setting.
Would you say that RuneQuest is tied to a setting?
Yes, it's tied to Glorantha.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at the magic in RuneQuest. It's 100. That's why I don't play RuneQuest. Is because all the magic in RuneQuest is tied to it. GURPS is not a fantasy role-playing game. It is a generic game. Guys, I'm going to ask the question again. I'm going to treat you like my students over here.
Universal.
Listen to the question I'm asking and answer based on the words I choose. What generic fantasy role-playing games are there? There are not a lot. There might be one or two. I'm hoping someone will turn me on to one, but most of them are tied to a setting.
But that's the thing. You can always like make them generic. You know, you can play like Forbidden Land and just say like,
Not
"Well, I don't even care
necessarily,
about
because a lot of the mechanics are tied to the setting. Forbidden Land has mechanics tied to its setting.
Harp Rollmaster
Not
from
hardly tied.
Yeah,
Pirate
Rollmaster's about the only one, and that's a fucking 40-year-old game now. You know what I mean?
Barebones
What?
was Barebones tied to a setting?
Barebones Fantasy had its own setting added into it, but
Okay.
that's fair. But it's
I'd say the closest is D&D probably.
yeah, so you
Sorry,
got like
but-
maybe one Barebones
One.
Fantasy. You know, you got maybe one. Earth Dawn's tied to Earth Dawn.
Yeah, Earth Dawn
So is
is very not generic. Like
So
is that what-
that's for sure. But I
Is
think
that
I think
what
like
the- Is that what the market needs? Is that a generic fantasy role playing game?
No,
that's-
as much as the market needs it, it's not going to get purchased. No one's going to buy it.
D&D is pretty generic though.
because D&D
That goes-
Pathfinders are the gorillas in the room.
Well, but
Gotcha.
also that goes back to one of my original problems with D&D anyways, is that the first time I picked up a player's handbook, page 1, it says, here's how you make a character. And why? I what's the point? You know, so you need some sort of like the setting is your hook. It's why are you here? Why are you playing? So I don't think you'll ever get a true generic. You can take any fantasy game and I think repurpose it for the type of setting that you want to play in, but the game is going to come with some, or should come with some form of a setting.
I disagree. I
disagree.
disagree 100% on that statement, because if you look at some of the biggest non-fantasy games that have existed, specifically in sci-fi and superheroes, a lot of them have no setting attached, or it's an afterthought to have the setting attached, right? Champions, mutants and masterminds, icons. In superhero games, we see it all the time because they expect most people are going to make their own superhero worlds. In fantasy, we have a problem where we expect people to make their own fantasy worlds. It's actually considered almost a thing in our hobby to make your own setting, but we don't have the games out there to support it that are designed towards fantasy. And the reason being, fantasy puts a lot of caveats into your thing. What is the magic like in your world? How did this work in your world? How do gods work in your world? What races are in your world? And as a result, there's so many variables, you can't create a reasonable generic fantasy game. You can create a generic game like the Hero System or GURPS or Savage Worlds or whatever the case may be, and then add a fantasy expansion to it like Fantasy Hero, GURPS Fantasy, Savage Worlds Fantasy, etc., etc., etc. But as a generic base game for fantasy, I guess the closest we have is Rollmaster from 40 fucking years ago or Barebones Fantasy.
But
No,
wouldn't you say that
I would argue D&D because D&D has
It said other than
multiple-
D&D. Jesus.
No, but okay, but I want to respond to Raven in the chat though, because he said D&D is tied to Forgotten Realms only because Forgotten Realms got really popular through the books, to the games. It's not specifically tied to the system though. You can play D&D in Eberron, you can play D&D in Dragonlance, you can play D&D in Birthright, you can play D&D in like a multitude of non-Forgotten Realms settings.
Just not
Even
Dark Sun
abandoned.
anymore.
They pretty much even abandoned Forgotten Realms. What she did for now, they're kind of going back to it with like Planescape and shit like that. But
Bear,
But
sorry, this thing that fantasy put assumption in your world. When you say that, that's even more true with sci-fi, because now like you have all this technology that does imply a setting, and all this technology has been there.
yeah, no, I'll give you that. I think superheroes is probably the only one now. If I think,
Yeah,
about it
because
hard
people
enough.
that superhero don't fucking care. They don't think about the world. Just like, oh, it'd be cool to fly.
Well, no, but I think
and fucking 10,000% disagree with you, Max. As somebody who spent a lot of time in the superhero role playing world, people care a lot.
Well, but also
human.
I think with superheroes, it's also got a kind of a natural built-in where you assume you're going to be playing superheroes in a modern setting that Marvel or DC, whatever, whether it's my own made-up city or it's New York, it's still going to be that modern setting for superheroes.
Sure, but the very first fucking superhero role playing game that ever came out didn't do that.
But I would like to have and that's what I'm aiming to do, like a kind of this like setting agnostic kind of like fantasy game, or not setting agnostic, but I don't want to tell you this is where the world is. This is how the world has been created. This are the people. This is where the city are. This is where the conflict is. No, because that's your fucking job as a GM to create your world. You should create your own fucking campaign. I think that's what I believe.
Yeah.
And you create it with the player at the table, ideally. But yes, the rules you're gonna get are gonna tell you something about the fucking world. They're gonna tell you about something in the world you live in, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to fucking spell it out with you. It's you that you read the rules and you say, oh, okay, I get it. Like you read the rule, like you can fucking ignore the system of Warhammer Fantasy, for example. You're gonna read the rules and you're gonna make assumption. Oh, okay, it's a little later, maybe like early Renaissance, whatever. Okay, the life is rough. Okay, there's gonna be those big cities. There's gonna be a lot of disease because the game's about that. So but. And I think, but you could do some interpretation that are different. I think that's what fucking cool in the hobby as well. I don't want to fucking give you all the answer because coming up with the answer is a big part of the game.
Okay, but that doesn't address the question. That's just your view on how game design should work.
No, it doesn't address the question. It addresses, like what you said, that fantasy imply a lot of things in the setting. Like the rules imply a lot of things because it is magic's work and stuff like that. But yeah, if you make magic like difficult to obtain, you just by the rules, it's obvious that the magic is difficult to obtain. Then you can assume.
Give you a specific example, Max. Here.
Yeah.
My favorite fantasy series of all time is the Belgariad. Okay. You ever read the Belgariad?
No, never.
Okay. The magic in the Belgariad is defined as the terms the word and the will, or the will and the word, where basically the sorcerer thinks about what he wants to do, focuses all of his will, and then uses the word to manifest it into a moment. There is no single fantasy system that allows me to do that. I have to go into stuff like Mage the Ascension or something else to find that type of thing. So once again, system is trumping setting in these situations. So this is my point, and that's I hear what you're saying. The system will enforce the setting, and that's what I'm saying is what I don't like is that the system enforces the setting. I want to go the other way. So to do something like that, I have to turn to something like Champions or GURPS or something else, a generic game. The problem with generic games is they're designed to be all things to all people at all times. Therefore, they're not good at anything.
Yeah, but you want to play in a specific setting. So
yes,
at that point, setting, like you come in from setting first, right? I don't want to play in a specific setting. I want to create my own setting. So just
right, but if I'm creating the setting and I let the rules dictate my setting creation, I'm not free to create what I want at that point in time. I'm being forced to make decisions by the system.
And every system's going to do that. That's part of the game.
But that's also why you want different system, because you say like, I want to play like this heroic game and stuff like that. I'm gonna choose this system instead of this system. That's what like fucking generic games I don't like GURPS and stuff like that, because they say nothing about the game, right? They try to be blend by default in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you pick the right system for what you want to express with your setting.
To be fair,
or if you want to express a specific setting, you build a system that fit that setting.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing.
The generic system is usually the core, though, and then usually if it starts applying specific settings, it's separate little books with their own separate little rules that add to that specific setting.
Yeah.
So, like with GURPS especially, you would have like stuff like Black Ops, which you played like special forces hunting like aliens. It was like Men in Black mixed with like Rainbow Six, and that had like specific rules for doing that sort of stuff added onto the GURPS rules. So.
Yeah, and again, guys, I'm not disagreeing with anybody. I'm not saying we're wrong. I'm just saying what I want, what I personally crave. As we say in Quebec, ça n'existe pas. It doesn't exist, and it makes me sad that I see endless fucking D&D clones endlessly, but I don't see people designing new games to give us new options and new choices and new things to do. And when we do get them, they're usually some fucking edgelord grimdark bullshit like Morkborg, where I'm just like, this doesn't interest me. You know what I mean? This isn't in my. I have stated for the longest time, I crave a vanilla fantasy setting. I would love someone to publish a vanilla fantasy setting.
Bear
no one does anymore, other than
hold on,
stuff come back again.
I think there's one that's coming out though.
Which?
Bastard Sword.
X2.
Kim, take your husband away. He's getting out of fucking train. He's getting out of hand.
No, but
About
like,
X2.
but also like the problem is like, what is vanilla? What is vanilla fantasy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is vanilla sci-fi? What is vanilla? You know, like maybe like superhero is the one that you get like the biggest idea of vanilla, because like Marvel and fucking DC are kind of the same and so big. But like fantasy and sci-fi, they're very hard to say like what is vanilla, what is the default flavor.
Sci-fi
from
very
that.
much so, because sci-fi is very much built on like the core aspects of how technology works, like how FTL works, how all that works. So, and then because you make those decisions, that colors everything else in that sci-fi's like lane about what it
Well,
can do.
Also,
But the same thing
far
happens
the
in
future.
fantasy.
Are you or if yeah?
Sci-fi, you could model it on Star Trek, you could model it on The Expanse, you could model it on Firefly, you could model it on fucking Star Wars. Like, there's all these flavors of sci-fi. Yeah.
So we clearly come to the conclusion that superheroes are the best games. Thank you. I'm glad we
And
all got to this agreement.
I do like superheroes, but
And,
they don't
and
have to per se be
Heroes
in the modern
Unlimited
day.
coming soon.
if you want to say like what is the vanilla flavor of fantasy, unfortunately we have to say it's D&D.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean the game. I mean the setting, right?
Yeah.
So
Forgotten Realms.
Greyhawk was vanilla fantasy.
Yeah.
Mystara
And now it's like
is-
Forgotten Realm with like there's every fucking stupid
when
race
it
walking
started, it was
around
just
living
vanilla
together.
fucking okay, you know, it's okay. I get it, but like it was at one point vanilla fantasy. Glorantha has never been vanilla fantasy because Glorantha ties in so much of its Gloranthian stuff that you go, okay. I would say probably the known worlds from Goodman Games is pretty vanilla fantasy at this point in time. But nothing new's coming out. No vanilla. Even I wound up, when I tried to set out to design a vanilla fantasy system, wound up making it not vanilla because it's just the way it is. Vanilla is castles and knights and elves and dwarves and rangers in the woods, and it's the stuff we call the tropes. You know what I mean?
Wizard,
And
And the tropes there are tropes for a reason, so that's why it's so hard to move past them.
Yeah,
Because people
the
love
problem
that
is
shit.
no one is publishing the tropes anymore. Everybody is now creating their. It's almost like every fantasy setting creation is okay. It's like the Forgotten Realms, but
Yeah.
and then there's some big thing that changes the world in some way. That's like fuck,
Right, but if they don't do that, then why don't you just buy the Forgotten Realms?
Yeah, you get that
The
shit.
Forgotten Realms sucks, but that's the side point.
Yeah.
Look,
But no,
there's
that's
at
the
least 10
point,
books
that's the
about the
point.
Sword Coast. It can't be bad.
Okay, so if you like blues, well, why don't you and rock and roll? Why don't you just buy the Rolling Stones and listen to nothing else? Right? That's our problem. We accept in every other form of media multitudes of similar ideas. Jazz being a perfect example of all the evolution of jazz. But in our hobby, well, if you like that, just play this.
No,
Yeah.
but Bear, I was you were
No, you're right though. And my point is,
Well,
you're right.
hold on, but you were making the point that, well, they're trying to say, well, it's Forgotten Realms, but okay, how do you make another fantasy setting without saying, well, it's like if you want just your quote unquote generic fantasy that
Sure.
has elves and magic and whatever, how is that not saying, well, it's Lord of the Rings, but, or it's Forgotten Realms, but,
Yeah. There's always going to be a comparison.
It's blues, but it's alternative,
question?
but
But what's
well,
your question?
no, I
Jazz is
think
pretty butt, I think I agree.
well, no, but I think you're saying, well, no one wants to publish a generic fantasy because they're just doing Forgotten Realms, but
No, that's not what I said. You're misinterpreting. When
Okay.
people publish settings, they're doing Forgotten Realms, but demons have invaded the world and you have to fight against demons. It's Lord of the Rings, but Sauron won. It's this, but no one is doing it's this. It's a basic fantasy world like Greyhawk or like Forgotten Realms. And the reason they're not doing it is because there's no fucking market for it.
Well, if
And
you
this is
do
what we're
that,
coming back to, right? There's no
like
market.
if you do that, like you said, like well, it's you could do like with the history, but it would still be like, oh, it's like the War of the Rose, but there's Ice Zombie coming in, It's
Yeah,
like-
no, I get that, guys. I get what you're saying.
George R. R. Martin.
What was that? Sorry.
I said, okay, George R. R. Martin.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
that's the example I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're not wrong. My point is, guys, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying this is your answers are showing the self-evidency of it,
Yeah.
which is that no one is willing to create something new that isn't a hook of some kind because they're desperate to get sales.
But isn't that
Hang on.
That you're done.
When they started this shit, that's not what they were doing. But it's what we become. It's almost as if the entire concept of fucking role-playing worlds, games, and settings and systems has just become this cannibalistic Ouroboros, regurgitating the same stuff but with an extra spice thrown in every now and then, or a spice removed. And as a result, doesn't it all feel kind of samey at the end of the day?
But isn't that all human creativity throughout all of history?
Ooh, nerd. There
Now
you
we get
go.
into the existential dread.
Thank you. Thank you for classing up the joint, nerds nerd. No, it's true. This is the problem with the human creativity. Now, we could dive deeper into that, and I could talk about how there's no such thing as original thought. We're all just having the same thoughts at different times, and they're all just building on the previous thoughts, but that's philosophical, and most philosophers annoy the fuck out of me, so I'm just going to say, you're not wrong. Is this our doom? Is this why we see 700,000 clones of D&D? Is this why no one's willing to take risks?
Well, I think what you're saying there, like, express a problem as well. Like, I think it's because people try to differentiate themselves with the setting because writing rules is hard. So you just are thinking like, oh, it's like we're gonna run. That's exactly like the symptom or the result of like trying to distinguish yourself by setting. You know,
And setting is copyrightable. Rules are not.
You also have to take the popularity aspect into it as well. Bear, why did people go into the bars that you were bouncer at?
Because that's where the women were.
Yeah.
Or the beer was cheap. One or the other. Take your pick. But that's usually why crowds showed up.
So there's that. There's the popularity aspect of it. People want to be where other people are at because again, that's how you get the most fun. Supposedly.
Well, and here's actually a bigger point that we're all kind of neglecting.
Hey, real quick. Yes, Raven. I believe they're just D&D clones. Go ahead, Brian.
The internet, like
really
Bears.
Horn?
Well, no, but Bears in Montreal.
Yes.
Victor's in the Netherlands. I'm in Arizona. Yeah.
Curtis is in Wyoming. Max is in Ontario. Dan is in the Carolinas, and who knows where Nerds
Okay,
is.
so
Secret bunker.
Secret bunker. There we go.
Yeah, where else would you be? I mean, but my point there is we see all of the games. Like going back to Palladium, Simbita talks about how he was playing at the Detroit Gaming Center. So Palladium evolved because of his local group that he did and decided, okay, this is the game I'm going to make and put it out for that. Whereas now we're not having those local conversations. We're not getting our own local art because flavor. I can see, right, the local art, the local flavor. I mean, like, look at your food, look at everything else. Like Bear wants McDonald's. Well, Bear's McDonald's is probably the exact same as my McDonald's a mile down the road.
Yep.
So we're what?
Ours have poutine.
Look, everybody's got their downside, but
Max, you know better than to call it poutine. You're fucking fired. It's poutine. You know it. Don't play to your Anglo masters, sir.
But I think that also goes to the role-playing games. I've talked about before. Like when I was growing up, you would walk into the store and you'd see those just weird things on the shelf. Now you go into the game store, you see D&D. Yeah. You might see something else, but that's rare.
So did you, Brian, did you ever listen to the time I had one of the two times I had Jeff Grubb on? We were talking about superhero games from the 80s and all that kind of stuff. There was a thing in the 80s. If you were east of the Mississippi, you played Villains and Vigilantes for the most part. If you were west of the Mississippi, you played Champions. And that was a real thing, right? There was crossover. Some people were playing Villains and Vigilantes, but generally speaking, the sales proved east of the Mississippi, people played Villains and Vigilantes more than any other superhero game. West, it was Champions. We don't get that anymore. That's gone, right? We only see that in other countries, right? People in Japan play more Sword.
Call of Cthulhu.
No, the Japanese
World.
Sword World than they do D&D. In Germany, they play more Dark Eye than they play D&D. In the Netherlands, they play with Victor more than they play with anybody else. Things like that. The things we see. We don't have that in the North American community anymore. Everybody plays a lot of D&D stuff and things like that. These things are sort of baked in at this point.
Apparently, like 5 years and overtook the Dark Eyes in Germany.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. That's
What?
Pretty much, yeah.
So
Dog
now
Eye
what-
was always very niche to begin with. Though.
it's the globalization.
One of the few things I learned in college that I actually appreciated was the fact that like commercial oversaturation is a viable marketing tactic. Just bombarding anyone and everyone with the popularity of your product is in itself a marketing tactic.
Well,
it's
no,
like
because
using a dating site, right? Like Plenty of Fish or something like that. I have
Plenty
friends
of
who have had
Whale.
great success on those things because Jesus, Mags. But the point
Max,
is,
it's too early.
I have friends who have had great success on those things because they apply this oversaturation concept of what they call carpet bombing, which is any and all profiles they might even find remotely attractive. They message playing a numbers game, knowing for every 100 messages they send out, they're going to get 10 back. And for every 10 back, they're going to find one. Right? So this is the problem we have is this idea of D&D is just over fucking saturated, which is why I don't give a fuck about the clones, because no matter how good they are, it's just more of the same shit. It's a saturation of a singular style of gaming. And I have played enough games in the last 35, 40 years to know that there are tons of other styles we can be enjoying and having a lot of fucking fun with. I maintain the Marvel Superheroes engine is one of the best fucking engines for a role-playing game, period, because of the freedom and openness it provides. Brian might not agree because Brian's going to go, I've got an analysis paralysis now because you're not giving me choices. You're asking me to make choices out of my head. So this is the type of thing we run into, right? Is it taste? Is it personal style? It's all these kinds of things. That's gone from our modern community now. It's all D&D or not D&D. So Nerd said that. There's two types of role-playing games, D&D and not D&D.
I think sometimes too much is put on us third-party designers though, because I might just for fun, just to sell for $3.99, I might make some generic BX clone with my own shitty fantasy setting, and then people will roll their eyes. It's like, oh, another unoriginal BX clone. Why don't you do something interesting? It's like, well, because you're expecting me to compete with publishers that have literally 40 people working on a single setting. I'm just one nerd just trying to do my best and just trying to have some fun. So yeah, but that's also a consequence, I think, of the kind of the globalization, and everyone can just instantly see your stuff. Some idiot in Ontario can just look at my shit on Twitter and
I'm right.
I forget who said this, but it was one of the creators of the OGL. And their thought process was the more derivative works that are based off of Dungeons and Dragons would eventually lead to more sales of Dungeons and Dragons. And so the problem with the OGL is that it broke a lot of people off from 5e in general. But now we're seeing a whole bunch of D&D clones, which is inevitably going to lead to more sales of the thing they hate, D&D. Which I thought was, I don't know, I find it ironic, I guess.
Isn't it ironic?
But how do you go from being D&D to being not D&D? Is that the point? What do you say Warhammer Fantasy is always an example I like to say because it's very similar in a lot of way to D&D in setting and stuff like that. You're gonna have people in armor and stuff like that. But when you talk about people about this game, they say it's not like D&D. That's the first thing they're gonna tell you. They're not gonna tell you, it's like D&D, but they say, it's not like D&D.
Yeah.
Because of that, at some point there's this threshold that you can pass from. Your game is in the D&D bucket. At some point you change another that you go in the non-D&D bucket. What do you need to change to go is that you don't use AC, you don't use class, you don't use level, you don't use hit point, you don't use the D20. How many of those do you need to tick to be not D&D anymore? Or is it just setting? It's because you could do it's like D&D but in post-apocalyptic, right? Whatever.
I just want to answer this question really quick. Phase Rip 4-color or 4C, Astonishing Superheroes, which is now no longer being produced, my own Heroic, which is coming up, which is bringing Astonishing Superheroes stuff back into it, and Phase Ripopedia, which really generated a lot of negative response from publishers, sadly, not sadly, but just it caused a big, massive schism in the cloning world of that.
I want to make a fantasy superhero game. And I'm actually serious about that. I've had some ideas.
I wish someone would. I wish, and that wasn't fucking Exalted. You know what I mean? I would love someone to make a fantasy superhero game. Okay, when Kurt Busiek and George Perez were doing You're funny. When Kurt Busiek and George Perez were doing the Avengers run in the 90s, early 2000s, they did a little story arc where Morgan Le Fay shoves the Avengers into a fantasy world. So it's like Yeoman America and all this type of stuff, but it was fucking cool. You know what I mean? It was really fucking cool. I would love to see someone make that. That would be
What made it cool? Was it
fantastic.
the spandex?
No, they weren't wearing spandex. They were wearing armor and shit, but they were painted up like superhero costumes. You know, Iron Man was wearing knight's armor, but it was magically enchanted armor and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It was the Iron Knight. It was really cool shit. It was really neat. No one does that when they do superhero super fantasy. They do 5e or they do Exalted or they do something that's just not. It doesn't tap into the superheroics of it all. It only taps into the superpower. You know what I mean? And that's what's missing. That's the thing that's missing is the heroics of it all.
Well, a big part of that is the game master and the players. What kind of story are you telling? The system will give you the superpowers, but if you're not playing the story of being a superhero or being super heroic, then yeah, all you're doing is just chucking dice and using your superpowers. Yay! Playing champions in high school, we'd have that hex map of the same shitty little corner, street corner there. I don't know how they got insurance at that place because we threw supervillains through those walls so many times. We were just playing the superpowers. Then again, we're 14 years old. It's cool when you take the supervillain and chuck him through the bank vault door.
I agree.
But
I think Nerds Nerd was about to say something too, though. Let's see. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes,
Nerds
ma'am.
Nerd?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there, Sanjay Dan.
It's okay. Don't you two have to like Semper Fi or something to each other because you're both Marines?
We just share the crayons. We're good.
You just go, hoo-ha, and share the crayons.
Really? No, I was just gonna say, you talked about the heroics of it rather than the powers, and it's like, where's that line between just being heroic adventurers and being superheroes in a fantasy setting? Because I feel like there's a lot of interlap between those two.
There is overlap. You're 100% right on that, but there is a difference. The difference in heroism versus adventurism is self-serving. You're doing it ultimately to get rich, to gain levels, to get magic items, whatever the case may be. Heroism is always going to be about sacrificing yourself for the benefit of others. And that's what's missing in D&D is you don't get a lot of...
I feel like that's a natural progression of most campaigns. You start off as the group of adventurers out to get rich, and then the cataclysmic event happens, and you all have to go save the world and put aside your own interests.
Maybe, but how about you start at that point is what your superheroes say.
Yeah.
That's what heroism says. Start at that point. Start at a point where you've decided to put the world ahead of you as opposed to learn to put the world ahead of you. That's all.
Guys,
Well,
I have
Skip
to
the
bounce,
origin
guys.
story.
the thing is, when you get 6 people around a table, one could be out for the adventure and for himself.
Sure.
One could be out for saving the world. One could be out for protecting his family. I mean, each one of those characters is going to have its own motivation. Okay? And then let's say the person who's out saving the world also realizes the world doesn't care about him. He goes, screw you. I'm in it for myself. And the person who's out for himself goes, oh, I'm part of something bigger than myself. You know, it's that character progression change.
Yeah, but that's
the
character
fun part of
development.
it.
That's archetypes and tropes and things like that you see in superheroes, right? For sure. And yes, you can see it in fantasy. Max, you were going to say something?
I was just about to say, like, I need to go eat something. So
Goodbye. Get the fuck out, Frenchie.
And look at Maxiliao in chat now. Like, you're fucking talking about superheroes and fantasy, and you're giving him like a big R-Dawn for Earth Dawn.
Earth Dawn. Yeah, I saw that. I chose to ignore it because I'm like, fuck your Earth
I'm
Dawn.
gonna
But
point it
apparently,
out.
all right, Max. Merci la visite.
Okay, bye. Bye.
I'm going to go to the store real quick, but I live over it, so I'll be literally back in like 5 minutes.
Okay,
So.
I'm going to end the stream in 4 minutes. Okay, all right, but hang on. So let's talk about that superheroism versus the self-servingness of the hero. Regardless of the journey they go on, let's just talk about the origin point. And that, I would say, is probably going to be the biggest difference for me, is that in a superhero game, even if your character is a thrill seeker or a bon vivant or whatever the fuck they may be, ultimately the trope and the caveat and the underlying theme of it all is we're going to go fight the terrorists because they're threatening the school children. We're not going to, and if your asshole player goes, well, what do I get out of it? Do I get paid for this? then they're not really buying into the genre at that point in time. They're just being a dick for the sake of being a dick, because the caveat should be, no matter what your character's motivation, at their heart, Han Solo, they have a heart of gold. For super-
And for a superhero game, and that's something that has to be brought out at session 0 or whenever the game master goes, hey, I got a story I want to tell in this genre with this game system, and part of it is you are superheroes.
Yeah.
You're going to be heroic. When I run my police procedural at cons, you're police officers. If you do something that's not police, I give bennies out at St. Sandwich. I give bennies out if they act like police officers. I reward that because I want to get that trope and that story told of investigating a crime and then going after the bad guy. And then at the end of the big bag boss fight is usually, a superhero boss fight, Silver Age type, Silver Bronze Age type trope where you beat the crap out of the bad guy legally because they're resisting arrest.
Okay. Anybody else got anything they want to add to this?
I mean, I was just gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, nerd.
Yeah, just real quick, I was gonna say, talking about the differences, and like a paladin, the difference between a paladin and a superhero feels like it's just the level of campiness you add to it.
Paladins have bosses, the god they serve, right? They have an ideology they subscribe to that dictates all their actions. So Captain America is a paladin. Captain America's a paladin, Green Lantern. But there's more than just Green Lantern. Okay, so here's the thing. We can split the deconstructionism hair as much as we like, but there is a core non-deconstructional foundation, 5 hours, I can't talk anymore, foundation to superheroes that needs to exist. Otherwise, you're just doing The Boys or all that 90s bullshit we had to put up with, or the deconstruction of superheroes. And that drives me up the fucking wall. Because that's not superheroes, that's a subsection of the superheroics. That's this thing where it's feet of clay for the heroes. That's why Superman will always be my favorite superhero, because Superman is in it for one thing and one thing only: to help people. That's it. That's all. He's not there to make money. He's not there to be famous. He's not there to find the love of his life. He's not there to get revenge for his dead parents. He's there to do the right thing. Now, you can say that's a paladin. Sure. But what if you're a paladin of a god of evil? What if you're a paladin of a god of money? You know what I mean? Like, there's all these other factors that can come into it. So I will always reject, not because I think you're wrong, but because I just don't agree with the idea that D&D is just superheroes of another color. It's not for me. It's just not for me. But I have a very strong tie to superheroes. Fuck, I wrote comics. God damn it. Like, I'm really into superheroes.
I can get that, right? The adventurers are in it for the adventure itself. The heroes are there, as you said, the simple purpose: do gun.
Sorry, say that again. Brian was talking, and I lost
sorry.
the second part.
I thought I muted it.
You did not.
So said, I think I get it, right? The difference in adventurer, even when they're doing it for the adventure itself, whereas the hero, like, be quiet, is just doing it to be good.
Well, to a certain extent, yes. I mean, look, okay. I used to teach, and when I would teach, I was asked this question at the end of my teaching, which was, Batman or Superman, and I'd listen to their reasons why. And almost everybody who picked Batman would always say, well, because he's a self-made man and Superman was born with his powers. And then I would break down for them the primary differences between the two, and it always boils down to Batman makes no fucking sense. And the reason why Batman's enemies are a killer clown and a guy with two faces and a man who thinks he's a penguin and all this kind of shit is because if they're not that fucking insane, you will look at Batman and go, why the fuck are you dressed up like a 6-foot-tall bat? Like, you'll just do it. But if his enemies are more insane and more crazy, he seems normal by comparison. Superman is about creating an ideal. Superman is about providing something to look to aspire to, right? So Superman becomes the more heroic character at that point in time because he's not driven by a petty motivation or a selfish motivation. He's driven by an obligation. And that's a very, very different beast to see. The Avengers are a horrible example of this, no offense, and I'm not shitting on you. I'm just saying I actually think the Avengers are terrible heroes, because what have you got? Let's break down the core Avengers from the comics. You got Iron Man, who's a military industrialist who feels guilt over all the people his weapons killed, so he's trying to do better. Captain America, and drinking problems, thank you. And Captain America is a red, white, and blue zealot. At the end of the day, a jingoistic zealot. Yes, they did touch on that in many stories where he turned against the government, but he is ultimately a jingoistic zealot. Thor is a god who's really into having fun and punching people and drinking mead. He's just in it for raw adventure.
He's a D&D adventurer.
Yeah, 100%. Henry Pym, Ant-Man, Hank Pym, is a troubled intellectual scientist who's desperate to prove his worth to the world, so he does these things to try and basically show that he is of value. His wife, Janet Van Dyne, is a dilettante who accidentally got fucking powers from him, so she does it because it makes her cool and she gets to wear cool costumes and be a fantasy person. Now, over the years, like you're talking about the D&D campaign, they have become heroes. They have gone beyond those origins to actually care about those things, but in their origin point, they are just broken people who need to advance down the road.
And the Hulk is the Hulk.
And the Hulk is a rage monster who cannot be, who needs to just, he can't, fucking hold on to himself. He's a rage monster he is the response of civilization to absurdity and injustice, which is, if I could fucking smash it with my fist, it would go away. And that's what I just want to be left alone. Let me smash this and be left the fuck alone. That's different than Superman. Superman is, again, the completely different opposite of that. Wonder Woman is slightly... DC ultimately does a better job at heroic motivation than Marvel does, because Marvel wants to make broken people who become heroes. DC's ultimate broken hero is Batman. He is broken. Hey, they're all broken. He is broken. But Wonder Woman's not broken. Flash is not broken. They have broken aspects in their motivation, but ultimately their motivation is to do good or try and make the world a better place, which is why people today do not relate to DC characters other than Batman, because Batman fits perfectly in the post-60s cynicism that dominates our fucking world. You go before the 60s, Superman was the number one hero, hands down, outsold everybody else. After the 60s, when the Nixon, Watergate, and all this shit falls in on itself and Western culture becomes disillusioned, suddenly Batman becomes the most popular character, because we can at least look at him and go, I could be him, where Superman requires us a level that we cannot be in our minds. Ultimately, Superman is our father. Batman is our cool uncle. And it's a lot easier to live up to the expectations who has none of the cool uncle than the absolute expectations of goodness and ability and temerity of character that our father is showing us. It's really fucking Western psychology in play, which is why I love superheroes as much as I love professional wrestling, because it is a moral theater. But it is a moral theater that reflects the times, just like the best Greek tragedies did of its time. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
I prefer Marvel over DC, not because I'm cynical, it's because I prefer like a more even spread of power levels. I'm usually more a fan of like street level heroes, and DC tends to, you're either Batman or you're like up there with Superman and Wonder Woman. There's rarely like an in between, or at least like characters that are like very mainstream. Marvel has like all sorts of characters that are like at all sorts of levels, and I don't know, that to me is a bit more interesting.
Marvel has the much better villain base.
Yeah,
especially what we call the Mook level villains, like the Wrecking Crew and shit like that. They're way more fun. DC's problem is a lot of their villains are just holdovers from a goofier time. Like, you got to explain Calendar Man in the modern age. Oh boy, you know what I mean? Like, that's hard to do. The Penguin, the Joker, all these people. But I feel DC has the better heroes than Marvel at the end of the day, because DC's heroes tend to stand for something. And my favorite DC hero, other than Superman, if I had to say take Superman out of the equation and put in another DC hero, will always be Booster Gold. Booster Gold is an awesome role-playing hero in that he came back from the future with all of this cool tech and pre-knowledge, and he was going to make himself rich and famous. And somewhere along the way, he learned to become a hero. But everyone found out originally why he was there and what a shitty fucking goof he was. So no matter what he does now, no one takes him seriously as a hero, but he keeps trying. Why? Because of fucking Superman. And that's what makes him a great fucking character, right? Anyway, Sorry, I apologize, guys. I can go off on superheroes for hours and hours.
Well, I
We
like
never would have guessed.
I like both
Fuck you,
the
Brian.
Marvel and the DC. I like the aspiration of the DC, like you said, but I also do like the brokenness of the Marvel characters and them getting beyond that brokenness.
Tick.
Oh.
Tick is awesome because they love superheroes, unlike the boys comics. And Captain
My
Marvel
favorite
is one.
My favorite characters can barely even be considered superheroes as it is. For Marvel, it's like stuff like the Punisher. For DC, I love Tommy Monaghan, Hitman. Like that was like I love that shit. So I don't know. like I said, I like the more toned down stuff though.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. You're not buying into the mythos. You're not buying
Yeah.
into the grander fucking gods of it all.
Yeah.
You're buying into the more street level stuff.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That also speaks to a desire within us to change. Superheroes and superhero comics will always tie into our desire to how to change the world or impose our view on the world. Right? That's what it's really giving us at the end of the day. So it just comes down to a question of how frustrated you feel with the world and what you think is the best course.
So you're
of
saying
action.
I want to shoot everyone?
Yes,
I mean,
Victor. I'm saying
Yeah.
that you have a bit of a Dante streak in your heart, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Fuck, the Vikings were the kings of that shit at one
Yeah.
point.
Hold on a second, Victor. You didn't realize that about yourself? We all knew that.
You are an agent of chaos, right? So
I'm the Joker. Nice.
yeah, agents of chaos rarely will want to pay attention or idolize heroes that are agents of order. You will rarely feel that, right? But the agents of chaos will always appeal to you at that point in time. So the Joker will be more popular for you than Batman. You'll enjoy the Joker more than you'll enjoy Batman on some
I actually
level.
enjoy Batman more.
In general. Notice I
Yeah.
had a statement before you jumped all over that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you can't define someone's personality by the superheroes they like. You can just get glimpses into aspects of their personality at that point in time. It is a fantastic psychological tool that is not being used very well because it would do so much better than all this Cosmo bullshit we live in. Notice what Wavin just said. Anyone surprised?
Nope.
Anyone surprised?
I just like vigilantes, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah, you like people that take the law into their own hands and
Yeah.
met out justice, whatever that justice may be. I like people that are flawed. My favorite types of heroes to play when I play in games are the hero that's trying to prove themselves but they are their own worst enemy because that reflects my view of myself and my view of my world, right? So everyone's going to have something different. Captain Atom is a fantastic character, but he bores the living shit out of me because he's pure military. You know what I mean? If you read Captain Atom comics, he is pure military. So every choice he makes, every decision he makes is based around someone following orders. So he's always getting his orders from on high, and those are the orders he follows, which in many times has brought him into conflict with Superman or the other superheroes because he is lawful neutral in D&D terms. He's going to do what he's told because that's what you do. Whereas Superman is lawful good at the end of the day. He's not going to break the law and he wants to help people. But like Captain America starts as lawful good, becomes lawful neutral, and then goes back to being lawful good. Dale, I got a game at 4:00, so at some point I'm going to have to wrap this up. I might do another half hour or so, maybe 2:00, and then I'll stop. Why, you want to jump on, Dale? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I got to get going anyway, so
Aw.
I got to get ready for my game. So I'll catch you all
Later,
later. Thank you all
Go
very much.
enjoy, go enjoy your Pathfinder, sir.
I will. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate interacting with all of you. And thank you very much for putting this on, Bear. I appreciate you greatly. You have a great day.
Take care, guys. Thanks for being
Bye,
here.
Curtis.
Take it.
Later.
So, I mean, we can keep talking about superheroes. We can talk about other stuff, but like you guys can clearly see, as Brian Snark pointed out, I can really talk about this for hours, just like I can
Yeah.
talk about Star Trek for
That's-
hours because I've
that's fine,
invested
though.
time in them. I've made the point of trying to understand them beyond the surface.
I like
that's
superheroes.
fine.
I just never found a superhero tabletop game that really suited me. I was made to play what was it? Champions was like one of the early editions of Champions. It was just a mess. It took me like 6 hours to even make a character because the book was all over the place. And by the time I was done, I didn't even really want to play anymore. So
Yeah, it's definitely 1040 long for me making character creation.
yeah,
It's no shit.
I liked Silver Age Heroes or Silver Age Sentinels from TriStat. That was a TriStat game. That was good.
Silver Age Sentinels. TriStat was apparently the good version. Apparently the D20
Yeah.
version sucked ass.
Mm. Yeah, I had to twice that one.
But I want to hear
No
from
way.
a nerd's nerd because she's new here and she doesn't talk a lot. What's your take on it all?
So I've never been super huge on superheroes, but I do have a soft spot for Spawn and Ozymandias.
Wow.
Ooh.
Ooh, I'm not going to psychoanalyze you based on those two. I'm just going to let that go. But Jesus Christ, those are some fucking weird choices. So what is it about them that appeals to you? You tell me. What is it about Spawn you like? What is it about Ozymandias you like?
Yeah, so Spawn was the one I liked. When I was, a kid in school. And I don't know how much of that was just, me trying to be an edgelord or whatever. But the growth of him, there's some dark material that it covers. There's something about kind of overthrowing both heaven and hell. That appealed to me. It was kind of that ultimate rebellion of saying, I know I'm a minion of hell, but I'm also an enemy of hell. And then the expansion of that as it grew out to, eventually slaying God himself just to like be done with the whole, battle.
Now,
And
have you read all the Spawn comics?
Not even close. I've not read all of them. No.
Did you ever get to the one where he teams up with Cerebus the Aardvark? Cerebus the Aardvark?
I don't think so. That
You should
doesn't
read
sound
it,
familiar.
because even McFarlane and Dave Sim have to agree Superman is the most important hero that ever lived. It's a great issue. You should read it. It's really cool because they really dissect the superhero world by attacking them and then having Superman isolated in his own fucking cell. Like, this is the one they're all fucking harming with their behavior. It's really neat. Okay, now why Ozymandias?
Ozymandias, I like that there's very valid arguments for him either being one of the worst villains or one of the best heroes. I like that his plans failed successfully. Heidi kind of brought it all together by making himself the grand villain, which he kind of always was, but didn't see it. So he's kind of pretending to be what everyone else already knew him to be, but he doesn't know it himself. So I like kind of the complexity around that.
Okay, so you're into the darker morality play.
Definitely.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for that in superheroes. That's the point. And what makes those types of characters in a game interesting is when you have someone who's playing that type of a character, they're going to challenge the square-jawed, lantern-jawed, heteronormative Captain WoW in certain situations. And that makes it fascinating, right? Because, one of the greatest comics ever written will always be World's Finest, where you have Batman and Superman teaming up and both of them having to find a way to work together because of their diametrically opposed ways of handling things. And as a result, they become best friends. So you have the same type of thing with what you're talking about, because Ozymandias is, wow. Like, you want to talk about a deconstruction, that he is a fantastic deconstruction. He's the best part. Ozymandias and Rorschach are two heads of the coin, right? They're the two sides of the coin in Watchmen, and they are the point of Watchmen. And Night Owl has to exist because he's the one stuck between the two. He's the one. He's us. Night Owl is us in the story. Us being asked to pick a side in this battle of morality for the fate of humanity, and we have to figure out which one we're going to side with. And what's fascinating is that some people go to Ozymandias, like yourself, and other people go to Rorschach. Some people won't go to Rorschach because Rorschach is the best way to describe him in D&D terms is chaotic lawful. The law means everything, even if he has to break it to make sure the law is adhered to, because there must be retribution, there must be punishment. Whereas Ozymandias is all about, I write the law, I create the law, I create the reality of the world, and I will push the world in the direction it needs to go, no matter how many fucking eggs I break to do it, because the ultimate good. So he's good, chaotic, lawful good. He's a weird combination.
But
he's also
I love that. It's like how much evil is acceptable to do good, right? In the big picture.
Lawful evil good.
Yeah, Ozymandias would have been fantastic to be played by Christopher Lee. He's the kind of actor that has the gravitas to pull off that kind of a moral dilemma. And that's why the guy who's in the movie was even he admits he was an awful casting choice, because he just didn't have the gravitas to pull off that level of morality. Whereas Jackie Lee Haley was a fantastic Rorschach because he absolutely got the character. You know what I mean? And what's his name was a pretty good Night Owl too.
Yeah, that movie was pretty good. I need to watch it again.
It's not a horrible movie. It's not a horrible movie.
It's a decent movie, and they hit all the beats within the comic book story.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not. Is it fantastic? Great? No, but it's good.
Well, and we don't need to dissect that movie because that's been done to death.
The
at this
TV
point.
show is awful though.
And well, it had elements I liked, but it was overall pretty bad. It started well and then ended poorly. But again, superheroes are a very different beast than a D&D character or a Specs Op character or that type of gaming, right? Like there's a primalness to them. And if you look at superheroes at the end of the day, every superhero represents some primal human emotion or thought process. And that's where it gets interesting because people either play superhero games or like superhero comics. They like what they like because it touches on their morality, or they like what they like because they like the power set, right? Those are the two differences you're always going to see in people. Role players tend to go more to the power set. I've noticed. That's why champions and mutants and masterminds are as big as they are, because they allow you to build the power set the way you want. You can tweak and really get in there. Whereas the role players tend to go more towards the lighter games, like say Marvel or even DC's game or Villains and Vigilante. Well, that's not really that light, but or Icons, where they can just be more about the character at that point in time, and then the power is just a cool side effect of it or a cool thing that's added in. I don't think fantasy games have that. I don't think fantasy games have such primal resonance in them of two types. I think fantasy games tend to make people be a little more, maybe mechanical, maybe melodramatic, but less deep character study of the morality of the human condition, which is really interesting. And it's what makes superheroes so fucking fascinating for me. And it's why I currently cannot stand what Marvel and DC are doing with superheroes, because they've just turned it into social commentary and fucking culture war bullshit. And
it's because they want to insert themselves into into the character instead of letting the character stand on its own. And bring your own spin to it. Bring look at the core of the concept of the character and tell a story, your story within that core concept. Don't be adding all your stuff into that.
Well, don't change the character. Concept. That's the thing. Don't change a character that has already been clearly assigned and established motivations, drives, and personality traits to be a reflection of you.
Make your own character.
And then throw them into that hero's world and watch how that hero interacts and deals with them. That's a different beast, right? That's a very different beast.
Yeah.
So thinking about how I play superhero games, like I tend to come up with a concept and then I tailor the powers and stuff to that concept. But then everyone else I play with, they do the powers and then they come up with the concept based on the powers. Yeah. And there's a whole different thing. I actually got punished for that once. For some reason, the GM had it in for me because I came with a concept first and I picked my powers based on that concept, and everyone else was just doing whatever. And for some reason, he was like constantly hampering my character because he had it in for me because of the way I made my character. It was really weird. But
I ran a game one time where everybody made their characters, and this one guy made a telepathic character who had no ability to. Like he was only, telepathic versus humans, obviously, and it was like a weakness of his. And he got mad at me by the third session that they'd been fighting robots and automatons because you're just exploiting my weakness and I don't get to do anything. And I literally had to stop myself from going, well, maybe don't make a one-note fucking character next time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you made a one-note character because you got more points out of it. So you tried to game the system, and now the game is happening. And sadly, I planned these adventures before you made your characters. It's not my fucking fault, and I'm not targeting you. But that's ego coming into the situation, which is a very difficult thing to deal with in a role-playing game. You're always going to, because if we put ourselves or put our thoughts or put our effort into how our characters play and how we do these things, we are opening the door to ego. And therefore, when things don't go the right way or things don't go the way you planned, it can be an ego hit. And most humans don't handle ego hits very well.
Everybody puts a little bit of themselves into their characters.
Sure.
And when you're not getting what you want out of that character, out of that game, then you take the ego hit. 2, he should have said, hey, I'm looking at making this character. Is this going to work with your story?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the give and take comes in any game. So, you as a game master, Bear, would say, hey, I want to run a superhero game. And if I come to you with a concept and I go, hey, is this concept going to work? Okay. And you say, no. Okay. What aspects would work and what do I have to change? because I want to be able to help you tell your story that you want to tell, but I also want to be able to have a character and have a story for that character that I want to tell within it, and in the tension there, where we both get something out of it. We get our enjoyment and our entertainment and the fun out of playing the game and telling the story together.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that thought. Nothing wrong with that thought at all. To be honest, it's fine.
My character, my champion's character, had super strength, and as GM who had it in for me, he put an indestructible collar on my character that negated his strength. So for like 6 sessions, I was just like a normal dude, and then he made me fight like basically like some super fast like ninja chick with like a katana that could cut through anything. And I'm just basically a normal dude trying to survive this shit for like 6 sessions. It was really awful. I hated it so much. I was just constantly fuming. And then I remember that in the final fight,
No one wants to play an NPC.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, in the final
exactly.
fight, the bad guy, the main bad guy, he like punched my character and like punched him like 12 miles away or something. So it took like rounds for my character to get back to the fight. And by the time I finally got back to the fight, the bad guy had been defeated by everyone. So again, I didn't get to do anything.
That's just bad GMing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. At that point, it's time to find another GM and another group.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I never
it's-
played with that guy again.
Yeah.
Well, listen, people are people. They're going to make mistakes. It's humans. It gets messy, right? Humans bring emotions and ego and all these things into the equation every time. So it's going to get messy. It's always going to get messy. But Nerd made a good point. No one wants to play an NPC.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the hero of their own story. Everybody wants to be the focus of attention at some point or another. And that is the job of a good GM, to do that, to break it up and make the camera change position and do stuff. But it's also on the onus of the players to choose to do things as well, not wait for the GM to tell them what they're doing or ask them what they're doing, but say, hey, I want to try this, or can I do this, or may I do that? It's a fine line and it's a dance. And if you're not dancing well, you're going to step on each other's feet. But keep practicing. Eventually, you're going to find that tango sync, and it's going to be just some fucking amazing role playing. Now, I got lucky with the Star Trek campaign I'm running here on the channel.
Yeah.
We started dancing well right out of the gate. We all
God,
we all knew the moves, we all knew the music, and we all wound up dancing. I was terrified for the second session because after we had such an amazing first session, I'm like, Jesus Christ, the second session's the trial by fire, but it went really well. So I'm like, okay, we are dancing well together. Sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, you and I, we're not good dance partners, or I'm not a fan of this music. Let me know when it's going to be a different music. And that's something people don't understand. So they can't, because there's a limited amount of players there, a limited amount of groups they can join. And as a result, egos, tension, things, clashes can happen. And that makes me sad, because at the end of the day, we all just love this hobby, right? Hopefully.
Well, like my Friday group that I play with, unfortunately, we had some people move away, and we had a couple people pass away. But you get a bunch of type A personalities together, sooner or later you're going to start bumping heads. And a lot of times when we start bumping heads, and I had to be the man up and go, guys, I'm sorry, I was an ass. I'm absolutely sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And owned it.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep the dance going. It's shit fire hot when you get that feedback loop going around and around and around, where that act react is just going. And it, like in the Star Trek game that Bear's playing, in several of his Bastard Swords and Against the Dark Master games, I mean, the players with each other and with Bear are sitting there, and they get that feedback loop going of act and react. It's a good story being told. Like when you watch a TV program or when you watch a movie, that act and react between the actors and the director getting that act and react to work well. It's fun to watch. And you get
we get it. That's awesome. Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
But again, it's not one person. It's a group. It's a tango.
No, it is. And
it's a square dance, you know?
it's shit fire hot when it happens, and it's
But it can
fun.
be a fucking clusterfuck when it doesn't. Let me tell you.
I've watched a little bit of it, and yeah, it seems like a really cool session.
It's fun. It's just fun. That's the whole point of it all. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. All right, I got to wrap this up. I got to have a fucking shower before people come to my house. So, Nerds Nerd, any pimping? Anything you need to pimp? Anything you want to shill?
I don't think you get anything too exciting. So I kind of just started up my channel here. I do a lot of 3D modeling on cults under the same name. But I'm looking forward to popping out a BattleTech video this week.
Nice.
And then I'll be hanging out in this Shadow and Sun show and just doing my thing.
So it's at a Nerds Nerd for your channel?
Yeah, it's just a Nerd's Nerd.
Nerds Nerd with the @ symbol for YouTube. So there we go, guys. That's her channel. Please go
Exactly.
subscribe immediately. Let's drive her numbers up. Victor, pimp me. Come on, baby. What you got?
Check out my channel. I'm like 30 subscribers away from 1,000, I think. So I could use that little bump. Check out my Twitter, also Victor Gorchev. I have a link on there to the pre-launch for the Kickstarter that I'm starting next year. If that looks cool to you, it's an updated version of. Here we go, Bear. Modern Necessities. If that seems if that's something that seems of interest to everyone, maybe give that a follow. And that's it really.
And Mr. Sergeant Dan.
Yes, I will be at Mythicon in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you're going to be out there, it is a great gaming con, strictly games, family friendly. We all have a great time getting together. It's a family reunion you want to go to. Come on out to play some games and have some fun. November 10th, 11th, and 12th.
There you go. As for me, guys, 1750 subscribers as of today. So welcome to all the new people who joined in. And I know that number will drop and go up and drop and go up. But once we get to 2,000, I'm going to give you guys something cool. I wanted to give you the thing from Dungeon Damsel, but I had to put my address in for the backer kit. So sadly, we're not going to do that. But I will do something cool at 2,000. Maybe it'll just be a gift card. I don't know, but we'll do something cool. Otherwise, if you want to be here, be here. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for anything other than just the enjoyment of talking with like-minded people. So if you enjoy that and you can handle people with differing opinions than yours without getting all butthurt about it, stick around. If not, subscribe to these guys. Give everybody your love, because ultimately we're all in this together, and none of us have WotC supporting us. We don't get all that extra boost that they get. All right, so that's it for me. Peace, love, geek, and we'll see you when you see you, and don't run out of the room, guys.
Bye, everyone.